Chapter 3484. Not long after, the portrait of a woman appeared on the paper. This woman was Xueqi, whom Lu Ming knew. "Damn it!" Lu Ming growled. "Father, do you know this woman?" Lu Shenhuang asked. "I do, but this person is very likely my enemy," Lu Ming said gloomily. "What? Not good." Lu Shenhuang's expression changed. "With her cultivation, it would be easy for her to kill you. But she didn't kill you and only tricked father and mother away. It's obvious that she wants to use father and mother to threaten me. Thus, father and mother's safety shouldn't be a problem." Lu Ming muttered as he quickly analyzed the situation in his mind. Since the other party could find Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, and had amazing strength, it would be too easy for her to kill them. However, she only tricked Lu Yuntian and Li Ping away. It was obvious that the other party wanted to control Lu Yuntian and Li Ping so that they could be used to threaten Lu Ming at a critical moment. Who is it? The Crown Prince or the State Preceptor? Or some other force? Lu Ming's mind raced, but he couldn't find any clues at the moment. "Xueqi, I'm going to find out who you are," Lu Ming growled. Soon, Lu Ming began to investigate. He used all the forces at his disposal to investigate Xueqi's background. But the result was a blank. In the end, he only found out that Xueqi had been very close to a young man in the Great Void Imperial Academy. And that young man belonged to the State Preceptor's residence. State Preceptor. Lu Ming's eyes burst with shocking killing intent. Boom. Lu Ming soared into the sky, his violent aura filling the air. His cold killing intent was like a tide. No one could touch his family or his parents. Otherwise, no matter who it was, he would make them pay the price, even if it was the State Preceptor. "Lu Ming, don't be rash." Blue Merchant's figure appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's path. "I'm going to the State Preceptor's residence," Lu Ming said word by word. "Lu Ming, don't be fooled. This is what the other party wants. You barged into the Imperial Advisor's residence without any evidence. The other party can treat you as a traitor and kill you directly. This is what the Imperial Advisor wants." Blue Merchant hurriedly said. Each of Blue Merchant's words contained the power of his soul. They bombarded Lu Ming's soul, causing Lu Ming's soul to tremble. Slowly, Lu Ming calmed down. He knew that what Blue Merchant said made sense. If it was the State Preceptor, then the other party would just wait for Lu Ming to kill his way to the door. The other party was an important figure of the Taishu dynasty. If someone were to kill his way to the door, he could be treated as a traitor and killed on the spot. Lu Ming would definitely be killed by the Imperial Preceptor if he went there. There was no doubt about it. "Lan Shu, what should we do now?" Lu Ming took a deep breath. He was a little flustered now. "Oh. Go find the Sage Emperor and let him uphold justice. But before that, you have to go find Holy Old Heavenly King. It'll be difficult for you to meet the Sage Emperor," Blue Merchant said. "Okay, but I don't know where Holy Old Heavenly King is," Lu Ming said. "The Sage Emperor's birthday is approaching. Holy Old Heavenly King has already arrived. He's in my small courtyard. Let's go together," Blue Merchant said. Without the slightest delay, not long after, they arrived at Lanshang's small courtyard and met with Old Heavenly King Thousand Saints. Holy Old Heavenly King agreed without hesitation when he heard this. He led Lu Ming to the Sage Emperor's palace. Blue Merchant did not go. His identity was sensitive, and it was inconvenient for him to meet the Sage Emperor. Holy Old Heavenly King had an extremely high status in the Taishu dynasty. In terms of cultivation, he was at the pinnacle of the Taishu dynasty. Naturally, he was unimpeded. With Holy Old Heavenly King's appearance, the Sage Emperor quickly agreed to meet Lu Ming. The Sage Emperor sat high up in the meeting hall of the Sage Emperor's palace. After not seeing him for a while, the Sage Emperor seemed to have aged a little. He looked a little lethargic. After all, the Sage Emperor was too old. It was rare for him to be able to live until now. "Brother Holy Old Heavenly King, why are you looking for me?" the Sage Emperor asked with a smile. Although Holy Old Heavenly King was very senior and old, he was still younger than the Sage Emperor. However, they were of the same generation, so the Sage Emperor addressed Holy Old Heavenly King as Old Heavenly King. "Sage Emperor, I'm here for Lu Ming. Lu Ming is looking for you," Holy Old Heavenly King said. "Lu Ming? Why are you looking for this Sage Emperor?" The Sage Emperor looked at Lu Ming. The sage emperor remembered Lu Ming. Lu Ming's performance at the Taishu Imperial Academy was stunning. At the same time, he asked him to save the blue merchant. Thus, he remembered Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming was the youngest marquis of the Taishu dynasty. He had also approved of Lu Ming. How could he not know him? Sage Emperor, I want to sue the state preceptor. He sent people to kidnap my parents. I don't know where they are now. Sage Emperor, please ask the state preceptor to release my parents. Lu Ming reported. What? There's such a thing? The sage emperor frowned. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and a terrifying pressure immediately spread out in the hall. Amazing! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, the Saint Emperor did not seem like an old man, but a ferocious beast that could destroy the world. But this energy only lasted for a moment, and the sage emperor returned to his old appearance. Come, summon the state preceptor. Yes. Someone outside the hall immediately obeyed. Not long after, a guard came in and reported, Your Majesty, the Crown Prince and Second Prince request an audience. The two of them are quite well informed. Let them in. The sage emperor said. A while later, the Crown Prince and Second Prince entered the hall. After bowing to the sage emperor, they stood on either side. The Crown Prince swept his gaze over Lu Ming. There was a cold glint in his eyes. A while later, the state preceptor arrived. Paying respects to your majesty. For what reason has your majesty summoned me? The state preceptor bowed. State preceptor, Lu Ming said that you imprisoned his parents. Is this true? The sage emperor asked. What? Imprisoned his parents? Your majesty, there is no such thing. This is slander. The state preceptor hurriedly protested. Slander? Wu Hua, you know very well whether this is slander or not. Let me ask you, is Xueqi a member of the state preceptor's residence? Lu Ming said loudly. Wu Hua was the state preceptor's name. Xueqi? What Xueqi? I don't know her at all. Lu Ming, speak clearly. Otherwise, I won't let you off. The state preceptor's face was extremely gloomy. That's right. Lu Ming, make things clear. The sage emperor said. Afterward, Lu Ming recounted the ins and outs of the matter in detail. Ha, what a joke. Just because of a girl, you say that I captured your parents. What a joke. Also, I don't know that girl called Xueqi. The state preceptor laughed. Wu Hua, you suspected that I killed your son and wanted to kill me, but you didn't. You held a grudge and wanted to use my parents to threaten me. Is that right? Lu Ming said loudly. Impudent. You are slandering me. Your Majesty, please uphold justice. The state preceptor said to the sage emperor. Summon Wu Han. We will know once we ask him. The sage emperor said. Wu Han was the young man that Lu Ming found to be close to the state preceptor's residence. Chapter 3485. Soon, a young man was brought in. This young man was Wu Han. When he came here and saw so many big shots, he was scared witless. When he heard the reason why he was summoned, he was so scared that his face turned pale. He knelt on the ground and cried, Your Majesty, I've been wronged. I haven't known Xueqi for long. We didn't know each other before. More than 100 years ago, Xueqi deliberately approached me, so we got to know each other. And in the last 100 years, Xueqi disappeared. I can't find her. If your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can search my soul. If you want to search my soul, please search my soul. Your Majesty, everything is clear now. Xueqi approached Wu Han on purpose to frame the imperial advisor's residence. I even suspect that there was no such thing. It was all planned by Lu Ming. He probably wants to frame me. Your Majesty, please uphold justice. The imperial advisor immediately said loudly. Damn it! Lu Ming cursed in his heart. He didn't expect this result. Xueqi hadn't known Wu Han for long. Obviously, Xueqi wasn't from the imperial advisor's residence. It seemed like someone wanted to frame the imperial advisor's residence. Who was it? With all the clues gone, Lu Ming's face turned ugly. His heart was in a mess. Your Majesty, Lu Ming is slandering you. He can simply find a reason to slander the state preceptor. If everyone imitates him, the world will be in chaos. Your Majesty, Please punish Lu Ming and imprison him for a stellar year as a warning to others. The imperial advisor immediately seized the opportunity to counter Lu Ming. Father, the imperial advisor is right. The imperial advisor is an important official of the sacred dynasty. How can he be slandered so easily? Moreover, he deliberately came to you to do so. Such a person must not be tolerated. Father, please punish him. The crown prince also stepped out. No, your majesty. Lu Ming's parents are indeed missing and imprisoned. He only did this because he wanted to save his parents. He didn't commit any major crime. Please forgive him, your majesty. Thousand Saint Old Heavenly King immediately said. Yes. Father. Lu Ming is still young. With his parents imprisoned, it's inevitable that he would be in a mess. Please give him a chance. The second prince also stepped out. Your majesty, we don't know whether his parents are imprisoned or not. However, we can't forgive him for slandering the imperial advisor. Otherwise, how can we deter the world in the future? Everyone will follow suit. What prestige will the imperial family have? The crown prince immediately. Lu Ming, on the other hand, remained silent. The sage emperor frowned. Indeed, slandering the state preceptor was a serious matter. Furthermore, the other party had even dared to come to him to do so. Your majesty, your majesty. The imperial advisor's imperial advisor. What? The emperor asked. It will be the Saint Emperor's birthday in less than 5 years. At that time, it will also be the date of the agreement between the Saint Emperor and Saint Emperor Tianyi. Both parties will send out their most powerful geniuses and the outcome will be determined in one battle. As long as your majesty wins, you will be able to obtain the soul-nourishing flower from Saint Emperor Tianyi and extend your majesty's lifespan. I suggest that Lu Ming participate in this battle. If he can help your majesty win and obtain the soul-nourishing flower, he can make up for his mistakes and be pardoned for his crimes this time. Good, good, this is wonderful. The emperor nodded repeatedly. Your majesty, you can't do that. Lu Ming's cultivation is still weak. He hasn't cultivated for long. How can he defeat those strongest geniuses? Letting Lu Ming participate in the battle is sending him to his death. Wu Fan has ulterior motives. Thousand Holy King immediately shouted. The barbarian tribe was to the southwest of the Taishu dynasty. To the north of the Taishu dynasty, there was another powerful country called the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. The Tianyi Sacred Dynasty was about as powerful as the Taishu dynasty. The relationship between the two countries was sometimes good and sometimes bad. Sometimes there was war, and sometimes there was cooperation. 1 stellar year ago, the current imperial emperor and Tianyi Sacred Emperor had an agreement. On the 10th stellar year of the current imperial emperor, the two sides would send their strongest geniuses to fight each other. The loser would give the loser a supreme treasure. If Taishu Sacred Emperor lost, he would give the loser a divine void pearl. The divine void pearl was unique to the Taishu dynasty. It was extremely helpful for the cultivation of the divine lord realm. It was a supreme treasure. And if Tianyi Sacred Emperor lost, he would give Taishu Sacred Emperor a soul-nourishing flower. Similarly, the soul-nourishing flower was also a supreme treasure. As the name suggested, it could nourish the soul, allowing the withered soul to be filled with vitality again. It was a supreme treasure for those who were about to die. It could increase their lifespan. For Taishu Sacred Emperor, he had used all kinds of treasures that could increase his lifespan. Those treasures were no longer effective for him. However, the soul-nourishing flower was still effective for him. It could at least increase his lifespan by half a stellar year. Half a stellar year was 5 billion years. With such a long time, he might really be able to find a way to break through to a new realm and increase his lifespan. Therefore, Taishu Sacred Emperor was determined to get the soul-nourishing flower. However, this battle was a battle between the strongest geniuses from both sides, such as the 9 great generals. After all, Lu Ming had only cultivated for a short time. How could he fight against such geniuses? Although Lu Ming had defeated Lin Ke was ranked last among the 9 great generals. Moreover, Holy Thousand-Old Heavenly King was sure that the Grand Tutor did not have good intentions when he made this suggestion. What's a little danger when serving your majesty? What I mean is that Lu Ming must play a decisive role in this meeting. He can't just be a bystander. Only then can he be pardoned. Otherwise, he must be severely punished. Grand Tutor said. All right, I agree. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke with a determined expression. Lu Ming, Holy Thousand-Old Heavenly King, was stunned and did not say anything else. All right, let's do it then, Sacred Emperor said. Beside him, Grand Tutor and the Crown Prince were overjoyed. Your Majesty, Lu Ming has a request. Lu Ming said again. What request? Taishu Sacred Emperor asked. Your Majesty, if Lu Ming can obtain the soul-nourishing flower for your Majesty, please do your best to find the culprit who imprisoned my parents. Lu Ming said. He had agreed so readily because he wanted to use the Taishu Sacred Emperor's power to investigate his parents' whereabouts. The Taishu Sacred Emperor's power was not something he could compare to. If the Taishu Sacred Emperor sent someone to investigate, he believed that there would be results soon. All right, if you can really help me obtain the soul-nourishing flower, I will agree to any conditions. All right, that's all for today. You may all leave. I want to rest. Taishu Sacred Emperor waved his hand. Then, Lu Ming and the others took their leave. After some time, in the Hidden Dragon Duke's residence. Lu Ming, I'm afraid the Grand Tutor doesn't have good intentions when he asked you to participate in the competition. I'm guessing that he will arrange for someone to harm you during the competition. Blue Merchant said with a frown. If they really do harm to me, I'll kill them all. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. I still can't be careless. You should know that Lin Ke is ranked last among the 9 general stars and is also the weakest. Especially those who are ranked at the top. I heard that some of them have already entered the Divine Lord Realm. Once they enter the Divine Lord Realm, they will be extremely terrifying, Blue Merchant said. Chapter 3486. Lu Ming nodded. Blue Merchant's meaning was simple. If the Taishu dynasty had such a powerful person, the Qiani Sacred Dynasty must have one too. Although Lu Ming could fight against a second-level Divine Lord with his full combat strength, it was only against ordinary second-level Divine Lords. The 9 general stars were all top geniuses. Once they entered the Divine Lord realm, they would be terrifying. Their combat strength could not be measured by common sense. There are still 5 years left. I will improve my strength in these 5 years. Lu Ming's gaze was firm. He would get the soul-nourishing flower for the Sacred Emperor and ask the Sacred Emperor to investigate his parents. No matter who you are, if you hurt my parents, I will make sure you die a horrible death. I will pay you back 10 times, 100 times. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Then, after chatting with Blue Merchant for a while, Lu Ming returned to his room and started to cultivate in seclusion. 5 years was too short. Whether it was the divine power of origin, the battle character formula, or the secret skills of origin, there could not be any major breakthroughs. If he wanted to break through, he could only start with his cultivation. Now, his cultivation was in the 8th level of the Divine King realm. He wanted to reach the 9th level of the Divine King realm in 5 years. Normally, it was impossible to reach the 9th level of the Divine King realm from the 8th level of the Divine King realm in 5 years. However, Lu Ming had the measure character formula and countless primordial divine crystals. It was possible. The primordial divine crystals contained a large amount of primordial divine qi. They were very pure and strong. In the past, the primordial divine crystals were absorbed through the ancient god's heart and turned into bloodline power to improve the primordial divine body. Only a small portion was used by Lu Ming to improve his cultivation and turn into divine power. Once it was absorbed and refined by the measure character formula, it could only be turned into energy. It was of no help to the primordial divine body. But now, Lu Ming did not need to improve the primordial divine body. He only needed to improve his cultivation. Therefore, he let the measure character formula absorb it. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the measure character formula's refining speed also increased greatly. Moreover, the original divine crystal was easy to absorb. 5 years was enough for Lu Ming to break through to the 9th heaven of the King God realm. Old Liang, I'll leave it to you. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the quantifying character art. Then, with a wave of his hand, 10,000 primeval divine crystals flew out. The energy contained within 10,000 primeval divine crystals was already extremely shocking. Lu Ming estimated that it was enough for him to break through. Leave it to me. The voice of the quantifying character formula was heard. Then, a wave of energy swept up the 10,000 primeval divine crystals and began to refine them. Not long after, a trickle of energy flowed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming circulated the universe myriad Dao technique and refined it slightly. This energy turned into divine power, strengthening Lu Ming's divine power. Just like that, Lu Ming wholeheartedly cultivated in seclusion. The Crown Prince stood with his hands clasped behind his back in a courtyard of the Crown Prince's mansion. Behind the Crown Prince stood the state preceptor and a young man. If Lu Ming was there, he would definitely recognize that the young man was Di Jenny at a glance. Di Jenny, your chance is here. This time, Lu Ming will also participate in the battle between the two countries. Haven't you always wanted to kill Lu Ming? This is your chance. The Crown Prince said. I will not miss this chance. Di Jenny's eyes shone with cold light. Deep in his eyes, there was a deep desire. Others might not know, but he was very clear that Lu Ming definitely had the Origin Ancient Word on him. He had to get the Origin Ancient Word on Lu Ming. In that case, his strength would be even more shocking. In the future, he would definitely become a top expert in the chaotic universe. The Taishu dynasty was just a stepping stone for him. He had been looking for an opportunity to kill Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was either not around or surrounded by experts. He had never found an opportunity. There was only one time when he found an opportunity. However, Lu Ming's strength was beyond his expectations. He did not succeed and attracted other experts, causing him to miss the opportunity. This time, he would not miss the opportunity. Di Jenny, don't be careless. Lu Ming is very strong. Even Lin Ke was defeated by Lu Ming. The state preceptor warned. Lin Ke, how many people like him can I kill with one sword? Di Jenny said indifferently. He was full of confidence. All right, there are still 5 years. In these 5 years, I will activate all the resources to help you improve further and kill Lu Ming. However, you have to remember that after you kill Lu Ming, you can only lose in the battle with the Tianyi Holy Dynasty. Do you understand? The Crown Prince said indifferently. His voice was very cold and filled with terrifying pressure. Yes. Di Jenny's eyes flashed and he bowed to accept the order. Only lose, not win. He knew what the Crown Prince was thinking. The Crown Prince had been in this position for too many years. However, as long as the Taishu Saint Emperor was alive, the Crown Prince would not be able to improve further and sit on the throne. He had been waiting for the Taishu Saint Emperor to die. How could he help the Saint Emperor to extend his life? If the Taishu Saint Emperor obtained the soul-nourishing flower and increased his lifespan by half a stellar year and then broke through his cultivation, the Crown Prince would not be able to sit on the throne for the rest of his life. The person who did not want the Saint Emperor to obtain the soul-nourishing flower the most was the Crown Prince. State Preceptor, this time, letting Lu Ming participate in the battle between the two countries is not playing with fire, right? The Crown Prince frowned and was a little worried. If Lu Ming really helped the Taishu dynasty to win, wouldn't they be shooting themselves in the foot? Crown Prince, do you think it's possible? The purpose of letting Lu Ming participate this time is to kill him. Of course, what if Lu Ming is really not dead? With his strength, how would it affect the overall situation? Isn't everything under the Crown Prince's control? The state preceptor smiled cunningly. That's right. It seems like I'm overthinking. The Crown Prince smiled. Time flew by. 1 year, 2 years. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. There were 10 more days before the Taishu Saint Emperor's birthday. During this period, the Taishu Saint capital was bustling with activity. 27 heavenly kings' residences, a few hundred marquis residences, and a few thousand generals' residences had all arrived. During this period, there were many experts in the Taishu Saint capital. It was possible to meet anyone on the streets who was a divine lord. Of course, the army guarding the border was also on high alert to prevent the barbarian tribe from taking the opportunity to attack. On this day, a powerful aura emanated from the backyard of the Hidden Dragon Marquis residence. However, this aura was quickly suppressed. Not long after, a figure stepped out. It was Lu Ming. After 5 years, I finally broke through. Luckily, I made it in time. Lu Ming muttered. Just now, he had finally broken through to the 9th Heaven Divine King realm and entered the ranks of the Peak Divine Kings. The next step was to break through to the Divine Lord realm. Of course, it was not that easy to break through to the Divine Lord realm. He still needed to accumulate. Of course, his various divine powers had awakened 4 times. Compared to others, it was much easier to break through to the Divine Lord realm. As long as he accumulated enough divine powers, It would be a matter of time before he became a divine lord. Chapter 3487. There are still 10 days left. Lu Ming muttered. In the next 10 days, Lu Ming did not continue cultivating. Instead, he relaxed and guided Lu Shenhuang in his cultivation. Before Lu Ming went into seclusion, he gave Lu Shenhuang some resources. In the past 5 years, Lu Shenhuang had broken through to the sky god realm. With the help of Lu Ming's resources, Lu Shenhuang's talent would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. It was the Taishu Sage Emperor's birthday. Boom! Boom! In the sky above the Great Void Holy Capital, loud explosions rang out. Sparks flew in all directions like brilliant fireworks. How extravagant and spectacular! Lu Ming raised his head to look at the sky. He could clearly see that it was a scene of planets exploding in space. Clearly, there were powerful people in the Taishu Holy Dynasty who had captured some useless planets from the depths of space and then used them as fireworks to create a spectacular scene. Exploding planets and using them as fireworks was beyond Lu Ming's imagination. Of course, the atmosphere in the Taishu Sage capital was also ignited. Let's go! Lu Ming said as he led Blue Merchant, Yuan Song, Lu Shenhuang, and the rest into the depths of the Taishu Sage capital. In the depths of the Taishu Sage capital was a huge square. This square could hold tens of billions of people at the same time. It was simply too big. However, even so, it was still crowded. The various major forces formed their own small circles. As a marquis, Lu Ming naturally had his own seat. He led the rest to the seats reserved for the hidden dragon marquis. The Sage Emperor has arrived. A loud shout came from afar, following which, a large group of figures flew over. The one leading them was the Sage Emperor. Behind him were the Crown Prince, the Second Prince, and some other important members of the royal family. They sat in the highest seats and could overlook the entire square. The Tianyi Sage Emperor has arrived. Another loud shout came from another direction. A group of people came through the air. There were many of them, tens of thousands of them. Some were young, and some were of the older generation. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man with a stocky build. He was burly and exuded a powerful aura of majesty. Although he did not emit any aura, others could not help but feel pressured when they saw him. This was the Sage Emperor of the Tianyi Sage dynasty. The outside world called him the Tianyi Sage Emperor. The Tianyi Sage Emperor was not particularly old. He was about the same age as the Crown Prince of the Taishu dynasty. However, his strength was unfathomable. He was on the same level as the Taishu Sage Emperor. Brother Jing, congratulations on being able to live up to 10 stellar years. I hope to see you in a few years' time. Haha. The Tianyi Saint Emperor laughed heartily. However, he was implying that the Taishu Saint Emperor would not live for long. Only Tianyi Saint Emperor dared to say this. If it were anyone else, they would have been slapped to death. Don't worry, this old man's greatest ability is to survive. Please have a seat. The Great Void Sage Emperor waved his hand. The people of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty took their seats. Brother Jing, let's cut to the chase. Let the battle between the geniuses of both sides begin now. The Tianyi Sage Emperor was very direct. Since you are in such a hurry to give me the soul-nurturing flower, I shall accept it. Let the battle between the two countries begin. The Sage Emperor announced. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, 9 experts from the Taishu dynasty flew out. They stood in the sky and emitted powerful auras. Runes flew out from each of their hands. These runes gathered in the sky. Finally, the runes covered the sky and forcefully opened a crack in the sky. According to the rules we set in the past, this battle will be divided into 2 rounds. In the first round, the geniuses from both sides will enter a small world that has been set up in advance. They will fight for the promotion tokens inside. There are a total of 16 promotion tokens inside. Only those who obtain the tokens can enter the second round. In the second round, the geniuses from both sides will fight each other until the final victor. Brother Tianyi, you have no objections, right? The Great Void Sacred Emperor explained the rules of the competition to him. If you have no objections, let's begin. The Tianyi Sage Emperor laughed. Suddenly, young men flew out from behind the Tianyi Sage Emperor. There were at least a few thousand of them. They flew toward the crack in the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. You guys go in too. Remember, there are 16 tokens. You must obtain at least 8 of them. The sage emperor instructed. Yes. Suddenly, a large group of young men also flew into the sky and flew toward the crack. Di Jenny, Lin K. Lu Ming glanced over and saw 2 familiar faces. Especially when he saw Di Jenny, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He had already guessed that Di Jenny wanted to assassinate him. If he had the chance, he would definitely not let Di Jenny off. He would kill him and obtain the origin source ancient words on him. I'm going too, Lu Ming said to Lan Shang, Lu Shenhuang, and the rest. He then soared into the sky, flew into the crack, and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a forest. As soon as he appeared, before he could look around, a huge python pounced toward Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming smiled. He turned his hand and threw a punch. His fist energy was wild and it exploded in the void. This giant python, which was equivalent to a 5th-tier King God Realm expert, exploded and turned into ashes. Then, a ray of light flew over and entered a jade token on Lu Ming's waist. All the geniuses who participated in the battle would be given such a jade token. As long as they killed the wild beasts in this small world, the souls of the wild beasts would be absorbed by the jade token. This small world was very big, but there were only 16 tokens. How could they find them? If they searched blindly, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. That was why there were such tokens. As long as they killed enough wild beasts and absorbed enough wild beast souls, the jade token would show them the location of the nearest token. Hence, if they wanted to find the token, they had to kill as many wild beasts as they could. In fact, the first stage was also a selection stage. Only the strongest group of geniuses would be able to obtain a token and enter the next round. If they couldn't even kill the wild beasts at the beginning, they wouldn't be able to enter the next round. After killing the python, Lu Ming flew into the sky and found that he was in a primitive forest where many wild beasts lived. Caw! A sharp cry came from above. Then, the wind whistled and a huge eagle swooped down toward Lu Ming. Judging from its aura, it was at least a 6th-layer Divine King Realm expert. Those who weren't strong enough wouldn't be able to survive here. Of course, a 6th-layer Divine King Realm expert was nothing to Lu Ming. He threw out a punch and the eagle exploded. A wisp of its soul was absorbed by the jade token. Afterward, Lu Ming dashed into the forest and went on a killing spree. He constantly killed wild beasts. Chapter 3488. The wild beasts that appeared in the forest were not very strong. The strongest one was only in the 6th layer of King God Realm. They posed no threat to Lu Ming. Lu Ming killed many wild beasts along the way. A large number of wild beasts were killed by Lu Ming. In a short while, hundreds of wild beasts had been killed. Almost all the wild beasts in the forest had been killed. Lu Ming left the forest and went to other places to look for wild beasts. Just as Lu Ming was focused on killing the wild beasts, 6 figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. He is from the Taishu dynasty. Haha, we are in luck. If we kill him, the sacred emperor will reward us. Not bad, not bad. The 6 of them sneered and rushed towards Lu Ming. Obviously, they were the geniuses of the Tianyi Holy Dynasty. If you don't want to die, get lost, Lu Ming said coldly. Among these 6 people, the one with the highest cultivation level was only in the 7th Divine King realm. Perhaps he was considered the top among the younger generation in the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. However, compared with Lu Ming, he was far behind. This guy is really arrogant. I have studied the strongest geniuses of the Taishu dynasty. There is no such person. Brothers, let's kill him. The leader of the group, a young man in a yellow robe, shouted coldly. Then, he rushed towards Lu Ming and attacked him violently. The other 5 people also attacked fiercely. These people were undoubtedly geniuses. They were the top geniuses of the younger generation in the Taishu dynasty. Otherwise, they would not have participated in this competition. However, they were unlucky to have met Lu Ming. I have given you a chance but you did not cherish it. Then, I will send you to hell, Lu Ming said coldly. Then, he threw out a punch. Roar, roar, roar. A series of dragon roars resounded through the sky. Following that, 6 9-clawed divine dragons appeared and pounced at the 6 young men. Ever since Lu Ming's primordial divine body had transformed from the primordial divine body to the primordial divine dragon body and cultivated the primordial divine blood, his divine power and secret arts related to dragons had evolved. For example, Lu Ming's primordial dragon power had become even more powerful. Even the divine dragon aspect technique had undergone a transformation. The 9 dragons that were condensed had an even thicker dragon aura and an astonishing aura. Each dragon was filled with an ancient and desolate aura. Their battle prowess was much stronger than before. 9 dragons lunged at the 6 young men. Not good. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, the expressions of the 6 youths changed greatly. They felt an extraordinary pressure that made their hearts tremble. They wanted to retreat and escape, but it was already too late. Bang bang bung, a series of explosions rang out, and the 6 youths died on the spot. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming kept the 6 storage rings. In a flash, he left the place and continued to hunt wild beasts. Lu Ming's speed in hunting wild beasts was very fast. After a day, Lu Ming's jade pendant shone brightly. This meant that the souls of the wild beasts had been accumulated. Then, the jade pendant shone and a map appeared. On the map, there was a line that extended to the left. At the end of the line, there was a shining light spot. Found it. The promotion token is here. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, in a flash, he flew in that direction according to the map. Lu Ming was still quite a distance away from that location. Along the way, Lu Ming met many people. Some were from the Qianni sacred dynasty, and some were from the Taishu dynasty. It's Lu Ming. He's heading in that direction. Quickly spread the news. Some people communicated secretly. Some people from the Qianni sacred dynasty overestimated themselves and wanted to attack Lu Ming. However, they were all killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a full day to reach the end of the map. I hope it's not too late. It hasn't been taken by others. Lu Ming thought to himself as he looked ahead. In front of him, there was a huge mountain that towered into the clouds. According to the map, the promotion token was at the top of this mountain. However, in the sky above the mountain peak, there was a layer of dark clouds. Upon closer inspection, it was clear that it was not a dark cloud, but a type of black insects. They were densely packed, and their numbers were innumerable. It was impossible to tell how many there were. Iron-devouring worm. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. If there were only one or a few of these iron-devouring worms, it would be easy to deal with them. However, when there were many of them, it was not easy to deal with them. They could burrow into the bodies of living creatures and devour their vitality. Roar, 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 roar at the same time. The roars of wild beasts could be heard from the mountain. It was very terrifying. Obviously, there were many powerful wild beasts living in the mountain. Obviously, the Taishu dynasty and the Qianni sacred dynasty had made arrangements. It would not be easy to get the promotion token. Let's go up the mountain, Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then dashed up the mountain. Relatively speaking, it was easier to go up the mountain. There were so many iron-devouring worms in the sky. It would be more difficult to deal with them. Roar! When Lu Ming rushed into the mountain, a wild beast pounced on Lu Ming with a roar. It brought a gust of wind with it. It was very powerful. 7th realm of the King God realm. Lu Ming immediately judged that it was a wild beast in the 7th realm of the King God realm. It was stronger than the wild beasts he had encountered before. However, it was nothing to Lu Ming. With a punch, the wild beast exploded. Lu Ming rushed to the top of the mountain. However, along the way, there were many wild beasts. Wild beasts kept pouncing on him. The wild beasts here were all in the 7th realm of the King God realm. Even if a genius was not in the 7th realm of the King God realm, he would be killed if he was surrounded by so many wild beasts. Even a genius would have to be in the 8th realm of the King God realm to break through the encirclement and reach the top. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming constantly waved his fists and the desolate beasts exploded one by one. Very soon, Lu Ming killed his way out and rushed to the mountainside. However, Lu Ming stopped when he reached this point. That was because there were fewer wild beasts here. The ground was littered with the corpses of wild beasts. In front of him, there were 2 groups of people fighting fiercely. Lu Ming recognized one of them. It was Lin Ke, one of the 9 great generals of the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming looked around and saw the situation clearly. There were 2 groups of people. One group was from the Taishu dynasty and the other group was from the Qianni sacred dynasty. The 2 groups were fighting fiercely. It seems that these people also know the location of the promotion token. Lu Ming frowned. When they saw Lu Ming coming, the 2 groups stopped and confronted each other. Obviously, They were afraid of a new person. Lu Ming. After seeing Lu Ming, Lin Kei's eyes flashed coldly. He is from the Taishu dynasty. The people from the Qianni sacred dynasty frowned and looked pale. Those who could reach this place were not weak. They were all very strong. Now that the Taishu dynasty had a new expert, they were at a disadvantage. Everyone, how about we cooperate? Lin Kei sent a message to the people from the Qianni sacred dynasty. Chapter 3489. Cooperate. The people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were all puzzled. Lin Kei had just fought with them, but now he wanted to cooperate with them. Was he trying to trick them? Yes, to tell you the truth, this person is called Lu Ming, and he has a great hatred for me. I must kill him. If you cooperate with me to kill him, I will not compete with you for the promotion token here. I will give it to you. Lin Kei continued. Really? The eyes of the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty lit up. Of course it's true. I can swear. Lin Kei said. The last time, Lu Ming had humiliated him greatly. During this period of time, he had been ridiculed by countless people. He had been thinking of killing Lu Ming all the time to vent the hatred in his heart. He did not care about the promotion token at all. Okay, we agree. The people of the Qianni sacred dynasty agreed. For them, this was a great thing. They had no choice but to agree. Otherwise, if Lu Ming and Lin Kei were to join forces, they would be in danger. Now, if they joined forces with Lin Kei, they could kill Lu Ming and get the promotion token. Why not? There was no reason not to agree. Swoosh, swoosh. Lin Kei and the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty surrounded Lu Ming. Joining forces? Lin Kei, it seems that you really want to kill me. Lu Ming was so smart that he guessed it at a glance. However, his face was still very calm. With his current combat strength, he was not afraid of anyone in the younger generation. At least for forces like the Taishu dynasty and the Qianni sacred dynasty. Lu Ming, today is the day you die. Lin Kei's eyes were ferocious. Do you really think that you can kill me with trash like you? Lu Ming said lightly. What did you say? Lu Ming's words made the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty furious. In Lu Ming's eyes, they were trash? Unforgivable. Boy, are you one of the 9 general stars of the Taishu dynasty? I have studied the 9 general stars. You are not one of them. A young man from the Qianni sacred dynasty shouted coldly. I'm not one of the 9 great generals. I'm a new batch of students from the Great Void Imperial Academy. You haven't studied me? Lu Ming smiled. A new batch of students from the Great Void Imperial Academy? Ha ha ha, what's there to study about these rookies? They're too inexperienced. How dare a rookie act so arrogant? Lin Kei actually wants to join forces with us? What a joke. I'll kill you with one punch. A young man from the Qianni sacred dynasty laughed and stepped out. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. Boom. The void shook violently as a terrifying fist imprint blasted towards Lu Ming's head. That young man was very strong. He had reached the 8th heavenly king god realm. Moreover, he was a top genius, second only to the 9 great generals. But in Lu Ming's eyes, it was trash. Seeing that the fist was about to hit Lu Ming's head, Lu Ming still stood there motionless. However, Lu Ming's face was still calm. When the fist was only 10 centimeters away from his head, Lu Ming suddenly moved. He reached out and grabbed the young man's wrist. Then, the young man stiffened and could not move. How is this possible? The young man's eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. His full-strength attack was caught by Lu Ming. Crack! Lu Ming squeezed hard. The young man's arm was twisted and his bones were completely broken. Ah! The young man let out a shrill scream. Let go! At that moment, another young man from the Qianni sacred dynasty shouted. But Lu Ming was unmoved. Boy, I told you to let go. Didn't you hear me? Are you deaf? The young man shouted again. He stepped out and was about to kill Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming's hand shook and a violent force erupted. The young man in his hand flew out and crashed into a mountain peak. He did not look like he was going to survive. You're courting death. Let's kill him together. The young man from the Qianni sacred dynasty shouted. Let's attack together. Lin Kei also shouted and led a few people to attack. Those people were Lin Kei's good friends. Naturally, they would help Lin Kei deal with Lu Ming. You're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Then, the battle character skill instantly increased his combat strength by 4 times. The divine power in his body surged wildly. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming punched more than a dozen times in a row. More than a dozen terrifying fist forces burst out and pierced through the void. A series of screams and explosions rang out. Then, 2 figures retreated wildly. Indeed, there were only 2 figures that frantically retreated, because the others were all blasted apart, directly falling. The remaining 2 people were Lin Ke and the young man from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty who had just scolded Lu Ming. The young man from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty was also very strong. He was not weaker than Lin Quebec previously, he had blocked Lin Quebec. The 2 of them retreated and crashed into a mountain rock. Blood spurted from their mouths and they were seriously injured. 5 years ago, when Lu Ming was still in the 8th realm of the Divine King realm, he could easily suppress Lin Ke without using the secret skill of origin. Now that he had broken through to the 9th realm of the Divine King realm, Lin Ke was no match for him. How is this possible? You've broken through again. Lin Ke shouted in shock. 5 years ago, he had been defeated by Lu Ming. He had always thought that he had been careless. Otherwise, he would not have lost so badly. This time, there were so many of them and they had joined forces with the people from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty. He had thought that they could kill Lu Ming. However, he had never expected that Lu Ming's strength would be even more abnormal. So many people had been defeated by Lu Ming. Horror! At this moment, there was only endless horror in Lin Ke's heart. Lin Ke, you tricked me. The young man from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty shouted and regretted it very much. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. It was comparable to the top geniuses of the Qianni Sacred Dynasty. Lin Ke had asked them to besiege Lu Ming. It was simply courting death. I've said that you're courting death, Lu Ming said coldly. Once again, he threw out a punch. A fist strength blasted toward the young man from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty. The young man from the Qianni Sacred Dynasty shouted in horror and tried his best to escape. However, he was seriously injured. How could he escape? All his escape routes were blocked by Lu Ming's fist strength. As the fist strength fell, the young man screamed and died on the spot. A genius who was not weaker than Lin Ke was killed just like that. On the other side, Lin Ke was so scared that he almost wet himself. Lu Ming, don't kill me. You can't kill me. I'm with the Crown Prince. If you kill me, the Crown Prince will not let you go. You have to know that the Sacred Emperor doesn't have much time left. The Crown Prince will definitely succeed the throne. If you kill me, you will offend the future Sacred Emperor. Lin Ke shouted. He wanted to scare Lu Ming by mentioning the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince? Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly and said, I will kill the Crown Prince sooner or later. What? Lin Ke was stunned. What did Lu Ming say? He wants to kill the Crown Prince? Madman, is he a madman? No, don't. Lin Ke was terrified and wanted to escape. However, Lu Ming caught up and killed Lin Ke with a punch. Chapter 3490. After killing Lin Ke, Lu Ming took their storage rings and headed to the peak of the mountain. Everything went smoothly. Even when a rank 9 Divine King Realm wild beast appeared, it couldn't stop Lu Ming. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the peak of the mountain. However, there was a person at the peak of the mountain. A young man hugged a long sword and stood there quietly. Di Jenny. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The young man was Di Jenny. It was obvious that he had arrived earlier than Lu Ming. Behind Di Jenny, there was a sacrificial altar with a token floating above it. It was obvious that it was a promotion token. Lu Ming, you are finally here. Di Jenny's eyes shot out 2 rays of resplendent sword light as he stared at Lu Ming. You were waiting for me? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Di Jenny spoke in a cold voice. The sword aura on his body surged and it was shocking. You want the origin ancient word on me, right? Great, I want the origin ancient word on you too. Lu Ming spoke indifferently. The aura on his body became stronger and stronger, and he was surrounded by rays of divine light. You know that I have the origin ancient word on me? Di Jenny was stunned and he was surprised. Since you know about me, why wouldn't I know about you? Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, You were the one who tried to assassinate me on the battlefield back then, right? Looks like I thought that I hid it well. I didn't expect you to see through me. However, It doesn't matter. From today onwards, there will be no more Lu Ming in this world. Your origin ancient word will belong to me and help me reach the peak. Di Jenny's eyes shone brightly. You are very confident. However, you will be disappointed because you can't do it. Lu Ming said. He was also very confident. Even if Di Jenny didn't look for him today, he would look for Di Jenny. He had to take revenge for what happened back then. Can't do it? I don't mind telling you that no one in the Taishu dynasty could make me use my full strength. When I tried to assassinate you, I didn't use my full strength either. I came from a small world and have experienced countless battles in my life. Who knows how many geniuses have fallen at my feet? You, Lu Ming, will not be an exception. Di Jenny's voice was like a divine sword, sonorous and powerful. His entire body seemed to have transformed into a divine sword, shattering the firmament. That's exactly what I want to say. Lu Ming said. You're also from the small world? This time, Di Jenny was really shocked. Then he laughed out loud. Good. There is a legend that those who can walk out of a small world and rise up quickly are the main characters of a world. They are destined to be extraordinary. Today, I will kill you, the main character of this world, to make myself stronger. Clang. As soon as his voice fell, a dazzling sword light violently slashed toward Lu Ming, as if it wanted to split the sky in half. Boom! At the same time, Lu Ming also moved. He threw out a punch and a dazzling fist force collided with Di Jenny's sword light. There was an earth-shattering explosion, forming a terrifying force wave that swept out in all directions, causing the ground to be in a mess. Ninth Heaven King God Realm. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This time, he truly felt that Di Jenny's cultivation had reached Ninth Heaven King God Realm. Di Jenny was the same as him. He was a new student of the Great Void Imperial Family's Saint Academy. He was younger than the 9 great generals. It was unexpected that his cultivation base had reached the 9th Divine King layer. Apparently, Di Jenny was also very lucky and his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Back when he attacked Lu Ming at the barbarian tribe battlefield, his cultivation was far from 9th Heaven King God Realm. Apparently, he had made great progress over the years. Stop probing. Go all out. Lu Ming said. There was a loud explosion from his body. After a few attempts, he had successfully triggered the battle character incantation to increase his fighting strength by 5 times. He clenched his fist and the overbearing god's spear appeared in his hand. Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward and the ground exploded. Lu Ming's body turned into a gust of wind and charged towards Di Jenny. The overbearing god's spear pressed down. The void shook violently and the huge spear pressed down on Di Jenny like Mount Tai. Clang! There was a loud sword chime and a resplendent sword light clashed with the overbearing god's spear. There was a loud explosion and a violent force swept out in all directions. Then, the long sword in Di Jenny's hand shook continuously. In the end, there was a loud bang and it exploded into pieces. Di Jenny retreated and hit a huge rock that was a few hundred meters tall. The huge rock was smashed into pieces. Impressive. Impressive. Lu Ming, you are more impressive than I had imagined. Di Jenny smiled. However, there was an even stronger fighting spirit on his face. Still want to test me? Lu Ming said coldly. It was obvious that Di Jenny had not used his full strength earlier. His battle sword was only an ordinary monarch-grade battle sword and not a secret skill of the origin. Hence, it had been shattered by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, in a battle of the same level, you are the strongest person that I have met. Come on. Let's see if you can give me a good fight. Di Jenny let out a soaring fighting spirit. Above his head, a stone battle sword floated and was held in his hand. It was the secret skill of the origin. Then, there was a shocking sword light that pierced through the clouds from Di Jenny's body. Die! Di Jenny roared and slashed with his battle sword. It was shockingly fast and slashed towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming moved and charged towards Di Jenny. The resplendent spear light looked as though it was going to pierce through the heavens. Boom! The two of them collided and there was a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. Then, the two of them retreated at the same time. However, in the next moment, the two of them charged towards each other and collided again. In the sky, there was a sword light and a spear light that collided with each other continuously. Their speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. They were evenly matched. After exchanging dozens of blows, There was no clear winner. Such strong power. The divine skill that Di Jiani has cultivated is extremely shocking. Lu Ming was shocked. He felt that Di Jiani's divine power was extremely terrifying. His divine power was as though it was formed by countless tiny sword auras. It was extremely condensed and sharp. It was indestructible, and it was many times stronger than an ordinary divine power. Moreover, Di Jiani's origin divine power factor had also been awakened 4 times. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was also in the 9th heaven of King God realm, any single type of divine power would not be able to compete with Di Jiani's divine power. Only by circulating 11 types of divine power at the same time could he barely suppress Di Jiani's divine power. Lu Ming guessed that Di Jiani definitely did not cultivate an ordinary skill. Just like the universe 10,000 Tao scripture, it was also an extremely rare and terrifying skill. The divine power that was cultivated was extremely powerful. Moreover, the space between Di Jiani's eyebrows was glowing as though it was giving off boundless sword essence. This caused the power of every stroke of Di Jiani to be extremely powerful. One should know that Lu Ming's cultivation was the same as Di Jiani's, which was in the 9th heaven of King God realm. However, Lu Ming had the support of the battle character art, which increased his fighting power by 5 times and 11 types of divine power. Even so, he was unable to do anything to Di Jiani. It could be seen that Di Jiani also had terrifying support. Firstly, it was the terrifying divine power. Secondly, it was related to the sword essence in the space between his eyebrows. Chapter 3491. I know. His origin source ancient character is sword. It's that guy's sword. The quantifying character formula shouted. Sword? This guy's origin ancient word is sword. No wonder his sword skills are so terrifying. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Di Jiani had originally cultivated the sword, and he had also obtained one of the origin ancient words, sword. It could be said that they complemented each other, and Di Jiani's attacks were extremely powerful. Lu Ming was shocked, but he didn't know that Di Jiani was even more shocked. He was a person with great luck. He had fought his way up from a small 1,000 world. When he came to the chaotic universe, he had a fortuitous encounter and possessed a terrifying divine skill. He also controlled the origin ancient word, sword, which allowed his attacks to be extremely powerful. In a battle of the same level, no one could match up against him. No matter how strong a supreme talent was, they would be instantly killed by him in a battle of the same level. But then, he had met Lu Ming. In a battle of the same level, Lu Ming could match up against him. Moreover, after dozens of moves, Di Jiani was no match for Lu Ming. He was slightly suppressed and was in a disadvantageous position. To him, this was unimaginable. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After dozens of moves, Lu Ming became fiercer and fiercer. As for Di Jiani, he started to retreat. Di Jiani, show me what you have. Today, I will show you what it means to be the strongest among the same level. Lu Ming roared, and his tyrannical god spear shook continuously. It turned into a few hundred spear lights and charged towards Di Jiani. Let me show you. Flying snow divine sword, roaring flame divine sword, holy light divine sword. Di Jiani roared, and the sword intention on his body became stronger. Then, different fighting swords appeared one after another. There were fighting swords that were emitting chilliness, fighting swords that were filled with flames, fighting swords that were extremely bright, fighting swords that were as dark as the abyss. There was a total of 9 fighting swords, and every sword was filled with different attributes. This is the secret skill of origin? No, it's not the secret skill of origin. It's a normal secret skill. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It wasn't the secret skill of origin but other secret skills. However, it was clear that these were different secret techniques. Each sword represented a secret technique. Di Jiani's talent in sword principle was terrifying. He had mastered so many secret skills of sword principle. When he attacked, he used 9 different secret skills of sword principle. Kill! The Emperor's sword let out a long whistle, and 9 different divine swords turned into resplendent sword lights that attacked Lu Ming from all directions. They attacked Lu Ming from all directions. Sword chi howled, shaking the heavens and earth. Lu Ming seemed to be sealed in a sword array. Let's see who has more secret techniques. The Sovereign's Gate, the Voidbreaker sword, and the Sky Devil blade. Lu Ming shouted. Above his head, secret techniques of origin appeared one after another. emitting an ancient and desolate aura as they flew towards the battle swords. Boom boom boom, another terrifying collision occurred. Then, the battle swords of different attributes trembled incessantly and were sent flying. In the end, the power of the origin source secret technique was still slightly stronger. Source secret techniques, they're all source secret techniques. Lu Ming, you're really cultivating an ancient cultivation method. Di Jenny's voice was solemn. He had thought that Lu Ming was cultivating an ancient cultivation method and could control many kinds of divine power. Otherwise, how could he block his divine power? Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. His pupils turned into two whirlpools. This was the yin-yang god eyes. Then, yin-yang runes appeared around Di Jenny and surrounded him. Then, Lu Ming took a step forward. In the sky, 9 dragons appeared. There were 108 dragons that roared and pounced towards Di Jenny. Following closely behind were various origin source secret techniques. As for Lu Ming, he stepped on the wind destroyer boots and charged toward Di Jenny like a phantom. Lu Ming, you're the first to force me to this stage. Open! Di Jenny roared. The stone sword in his hand suddenly exploded with a terrifying sword essence. Then, a sword aura soared into the sky and stirred up the wind and clouds. The terrifying sword aura swept across the void. The yin-yang runes were the first to be slashed apart by the sword aura. Then, the sword aura bombarded all the divine dragon celestial appearances and the 9 dragons exploded one after another. Wherever the sword aura passed, nothing could block it. Even the ruler's gate and void-shattering sword were sent flying. In the end, the sword aura slashed the tyrannical deity spear. The tyrannical deity spear vibrated and Lu Ming was sent flying by a terrifying force. Secret technique of origin. I severed a shackle. Lu Ming muttered. That's right. My secret technique of origin has severed a shackle. Lu Ming, what about you? You've cultivated so many secret techniques of origin and have diverted too much of your energy. It's almost impossible for you to sever a shackle. Di Jenny said. Although his voice was calm, anyone could hear the pride and confidence in it. To be able to sever a shackle, I have to admit that you're very powerful. However, do you think that you're the only one who can sever a shackle? Lu Ming's voice was heard. Then, a terrifying aura was emitted from the tyrannical deity spear. Di Jenny's pupils contracted rapidly and he was extremely shocked. He had never expected Lu Ming to be able to sever a shackle. He had originally thought that among the younger generation of the Taishu dynasty, he was the only one who had severed a shackle on the secret technique of origin. In his heart, there was one more Lu Ming. Great. Lu Ming, you've indeed exceeded my expectations. However, you're only worthy for me to kill you. You're worthy for me to use my full strength. Di Jenny was only shocked for a moment. Then, he revealed a strong fighting spirit and excitement. Yes, Lu Ming's strength had completely aroused his competitive spirit and killing intent. Clang clang clang. Di Jenny's body continuously emitted sword chimes. It was as though 10,000 swords were chiming in unison. Countless sword chi burst out from his body and made him look extremely resplendent. Sword chi. At that moment, in Lu Ming's eyes, every muscle, every bone and even every hair on Di Jenny's body had turned into sword chi. Is this elemental spirit sword body? Has he finally used it? It seems that Di Jenny has already used his full strength. Lu Ming muttered. Lu Ming had long known that Di Jenny had mastered a terrifying secret technique of body constitution, elemental spirit sword body. Di Jenny's talent in sword principle was heaven-defying. In addition to the origin ancient word sword, his elemental spirit sword body had probably been cultivated to a shocking level. Lu Ming under my full strength die. Di Jenny roared. Then, he waved his hand and the stone sword in his hand slashed out. A boundless sword light that was a few million miles long slashed towards Lu Ming. Within a few million miles, the sword light could be seen. When the other supreme talents in the vicinity saw the sword light, they were almost scared to death. What a terrifying sword light! Who released it? Could it be one of the few Sir God realm existences that released it? It's too terrifying. Even an ordinary Sir God isn't that powerful. Many people roared in shock and their faces turned pale. Then, they ran as far as they could and didn't dare to go near the area where the sword light was released. Chapter 3492. As Emperor Jenny slashed out, The 9 different types of divine swords also charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face was solemn as he activated the power in his body to the extreme. Boundless divine power was continuously channeled into various origin source secret techniques, allowing the origin source secret techniques to explode with the strongest power. Boom! The two of them collided again as various attacks were exchanged. This time, the sky was torn apart. Terrifying cracks appeared in the sky. Terrifying energy fell to the ground. However, runes appeared on the ground, forming a huge formation that blocked all the attacks. This world had been modified by the people of the Taishu dynasty and Tiani sacred dynasty. Runes and arrays were everywhere as they were afraid of being destroyed. The two of them fought intensely and in an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Boom! Lu Ming's body retreated. A sword wound appeared on his shoulder and blood flowed out. His shoulder was almost chopped off. Lu Ming, is this all you've got? Then die today. Emperor Xueqi roared and his fighting power was at its peak. A pair of wings appeared on his back. The wings were formed by sword chi and they allowed his speed to reach a shocking level. The sword chi wings flapped and Emperor Xueqi turned into a ray of sword light. With terrifying sword pressure, he charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. Then, Lu Ming retreated. It's indeed powerful. Emperor Xueqi's original spirit sword body has reached a terrifying level. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Looks like I don't have to use the primordial divine body to be Emperor Xueqi's match. Lu Ming muttered. Emperor Xueqi's power was absolutely terrifying. He was even stronger than Murong Xueqi, whom he had met in the primordial divine world. When Lu Ming had defeated Murong Xueqi, his cultivation was only in the 8th heaven of King God realm. Now Lu Ming's cultivation level had reached the 9th heaven of the divine king realm, which was the same as Di Xueqi's. It could be said that he was not weaker than the top geniuses in terms of cultivation level. However, Di Xueqi was the first in history to be able to fight him to this extent. There had never been anyone who could fight with Lu Ming to such an extent. Lu Ming, I'll send you on your way. Emperor Xueqi's cold voice resounded as he slashed his sword down once again. The void shook like waves. Do you think that you're the only one who has cultivated the secret body constitution? Lu Ming stood in the air and his cold voice could be heard. At this moment, a drop of primordial divine blood in his heart was activated and seeped into his entire body. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar was emitted from Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming was filled with endless power. Primordial divine blood. Wang! The tyrannical god's spear shook vigorously and swept out. It turned into a resplendent spearlight and collided with Di Xueqi's attack. Dong! This time, the entire sky within a radius of a few million miles shook violently. It was as though a piece of paper was being blown by the wind. In the middle of the collision, there was a resplendent radiance that was like the sun. Then, a figure retreated. It was Emperor Xueqi. This time, Emperor Xueqi was the one who retreated. As for Lu Ming, his body only shook a little. You still have a trump card? How is that possible? This time, Emperor Xueqi couldn't stay calm. His eyes opened wide as he roared in disbelief. Lu Ming had more trump cards than him. How was that possible? He had never come across such a situation before. Do you still have a trump card? Use all of them. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed. He stepped on wind destroyer boots and charged towards Emperor Xueqi like a ray of light. I don't believe it! Emperor Xueqi bellowed and charged towards Lu Ming. The two of them fought fiercely again. This time, the two of them went all out and didn't hold back any trump cards. The two of them fought fiercely. However, Emperor Xueqi was at a disadvantage. He was suppressed by Lu Ming and kept retreating. He was no match for him. Although his primordial spirit sword body was strong, it was still a far cry from Lu Ming's primitive divine body. Bam! Emperor Xueqi was swept by the spear radiance and his body almost exploded. Many of his bones were broken. He retreated and spat out blood. Heaven's sword wheel. Emperor Xueqi bellowed. The stone sword in his hand flew out and formed a sword wheel with the other 9 divine swords of different attributes. Then it charged towards Lu Ming. The sword wheel rotated at a shocking speed and it could crush everything. Dang! Lu Ming waved his heavenly sword and hit the sword wheel. The sword wheel shook violently and flew out. Emperor Xueqi, you will definitely lose today. Lu Ming said coldly and the heavenly sword continued to attack. Emperor Jenny bellowed and controlled the sword wheel to block with all his might. Dang, dang, dang. Terrifying vibrations could be heard continuously. In an instant, Lu Ming had attacked more than 10 times. In the end, the sword wheel couldn't take it anymore and it exploded. The 9 divine swords of different attributes exploded and disappeared. Cracks had also appeared on the surface of the stone sword. Boom! Lu Ming struck out with his sword again, hitting the stone combat sword. This time, the stone combat sword shattered. Emperor Jenny shook violently and blood spurted out of his mouth as he retreated. Lu Ming stepped out and chased after Emperor Jenny. The spear radiance wreaked havoc as though it was going to pierce the sky. Emperor Jenny kept flashing and wanted to dodge. However, he was still one step too slow. He was swept by the spear radiance and one of his arms exploded. Emperor Jenny bellowed and didn't continue to fight. He turned into a sword light and flew far away. He wanted to escape. Emperor Jenny felt humiliated and his heart was filled with murderous intent. In a battle between peers, he had never had such an experience. Escape. In a battle between peers, he had never thought of escaping. However, this time around he had lost. He had lost completely. If he didn't leave, he would die here. He had to leave. He firmly believed that he would become stronger in the future and he would kill Lu Ming. Want to leave? Say. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and he was filled with murderous intent. He had to kill Emperor Jenny. Previously, Emperor Jenny had launched a sneak attack on him and wanted to steal his origin ancient word. Since they were enemies, he couldn't be left alive. In actual fact, Lu Ming wasn't a narrow-minded person and he wasn't a greedy person. Even if he came across other people who had origin ancient word, he wouldn't take the initiative to steal it. If others could get it, it would be his opportunity. However, if others wanted to kill him and steal his origin ancient word, it would be a different story. Lu Ming chased after Emperor Jenny at a shocking speed. The tyrant god's spear stabbed continuously and the sky was filled with resplendent spear radiance. Emperor Jenny turned into a sword light and dodged continuously. However, he was severely injured and his speed was greatly affected. He couldn't dodge at all. After dodging over 10 moves, he was finally swept by a spear radiance and his lower body exploded. Of course, at their level, their vitality was very tenacious. Even so, Emperor Jenny was still escaping at a shocking speed. Chapter 3493. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he chased after D. Jenny. This part of the sky was originally covered by densely packed iron-devouring bugs. However, the battle between Lu Ming and D. Jenny earlier was too intense. The terrifying force swept in all directions. Countless iron-devouring bugs were engulfed by the force of the two of them and turned into ashes. Now, the sky was empty. D. Jenny's speed was shocking and he flew out a few thousand miles in the blink of an eye. However, Lu Ming's speed was even faster. With the combination of 9 Heaven Kuan Peng skill and Wind Destroyer boots, he turned into a streamer and quickly approached D. Jenny. His tyrant god spear shook and there were dozens of spear lights that pierced through the void towards D. Jenny, sealing off all of D. Jenny's escape routes. With a bang, another spear light hit D. Jenny's body. Only half of his body was left and his body exploded. In the end, only his head was left and it flew forward. He had not given up and was still struggling. His willpower was shockingly firm. In this aspect, he was very similar to Lu Ming. Until the last moment, he would definitely not give up. Die! Lu Ming quickly closed in and a mountain-like spear light pressed down on D. Jenny. Rumble! The huge spear light completely covered D. Jenny's head. He had nowhere to run. When the spear landed, he would definitely die. However, at that moment, there was a resplendent radiance in between D. Jenny's eyebrows. Lu Ming saw that there was a word sword in between D. Jenny's eyebrows and it was shining with radiance. Then, a terrifying sword light burst out from the word sword and swept across the sky. It was extremely terrifying and it slashed Lu Ming's spear light. It caused Lu Ming's spear light to shake violently and then it was slashed into 2. Lu Ming's face changed and he quickly retreated. He only managed to stabilize himself after retreating a few thousand miles away. On his chest, there was an additional sword wound. It was so deep that his bones could be seen and blood was flowing out. Taking advantage of this opportunity, D. Jenny turned into a sword light and with a few flashes, he disappeared. Damn it! Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had never expected that at the crucial moment, the origin ancient word's sword, would actually unleash such a terrifying attack that repelled Lu Ming and allowed Emperor Jenny to escape. How can someone else's origin ancient characters be so powerful? Lu Ming mumbled, feeling extremely envious. Take him for example. Although he had 2 origin ancient characters, like the battle character, he was completely passive and could only unleash several times his battle prowess. However, he would never attack on his own. As for the quantification formula, it was even more so. This sentence was heard by the quantifying formula. Immediately, the quantifying formula cried out, "Kid, what do you mean? Are you looking down on me? I'm so angry. Let me tell you, there are different types of origin ancient characters. That sword character focuses on offense, and its offensive power is unparalleled. It's normal for it to take the initiative to attack. As for me, I'm a support type. I can store divine power, but can the other origin ancient characters do the same? I can refine energy to increase your cultivation speed. Can the other ancient characters do the same? Without me, would your cultivation progress be so fast?" The quantifying formula cried out unhappily. Lu Ming was speechless and quickly admitted his mistake. Otherwise, he would be annoyed to death by the quantifying formula. However, he felt that it was a pity that Emperor Jenny had escaped. He had to admit that Emperor Jenny was extremely terrifying. Among all the enemies that he had encountered in his life, he was the most terrifying one. He had great luck, improved at a godly speed, and his battle prowess was even more shocking. He had given Lu Ming quite a bit of pressure. If he didn't die today, he would definitely become even more terrifying in the future. He would be a great opponent for Lu Ming. If I can defeat you today, I will naturally be able to defeat you in the future, Lu Ming muttered. His eyes were filled with strong confidence. If he could defeat Emperor Jenny now, he would definitely be able to defeat Emperor Jenny in the future. Moreover, the gap between him and Emperor Jenny would only increase. This was his confidence. This was a kind of invincible confidence. Immediately after, Lu Ming's body flashed and returned to the peak of the mountain. The promotion jade token was still there. After the battle between him and Emperor Jenny, no one dared to go near the area. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the promotion jade token. After keeping the promotion jade token, Lu Ming waited quietly. There were a total of 16 promotion jade tokens. As long as the 16 promotion jade tokens were obtained, the array of this world would be activated and send them out. Lu Ming didn't have to wait for too long. After about a day, runes suddenly appeared in the sky. Then, a light pillar enveloped Lu Ming. He felt his body sway and he left the place. In the next moment, he appeared in mid-air. He looked around and realized that he had already appeared in mid-air above the square in Taishu Sage capital. Around him, figures appeared continuously. They were the supreme talents of the Taishu dynasty and Tianyi sacred dynasty. However, the number of people was much less than when they had entered. Obviously, many people had died in the battle. Emperor Jenny. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he saw Emperor Jenny's figure not far away. At this moment, Emperor Jenny had already formed a body. However, his face was pale and his aura was weak. He also saw Lu Ming and his eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Lu Ming also revealed his murderous intent. He really wanted to kill Emperor Jenny. However, it was obviously impossible. The Saint King, Crown Prince, and the rest were all here. It was unrealistic. Why is Lu Ming not dead? At this moment, the Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor also stared at Lu Ming and were extremely surprised. Especially the Imperial Advisor. He was roaring in his heart and was unable to restrain his anger. Lu Ming was actually not dead. How could this be? Could it be that Emperor Jenny didn't find him? They were well aware of D. Jenny's abilities. They felt that given D. Jenny's abilities, he would definitely be able to kill Lu Ming without a doubt. However, they had never expected that Lu Ming was actually not dead. Then, they looked at Emperor Jenny and realized that Emperor Jenny's aura was extremely weak and he looked like he had been severely injured. Could it be that Lu Ming had injured Emperor Jenny? Their hearts trembled and they shook their heads frantically. Impossible. Emperor Jenny's strength was definitely extremely terrifying. Although he was in the 9th heaven of the Divine King realm, those few supreme talents in the Sir God realm might not be Emperor Jenny's match. They even thought that among the younger generation in the Taishu dynasty, there was no one who could be Emperor Jenny's match. However, Emperor Jenny was injured. How could this be? Could it be that Emperor Jenny was unlucky and encountered a Sir God Realm wild beast? The imperial advisor thought to himself. In the world that Lu Ming and the rest had just entered, there were extremely terrifying wild beasts. Not only were there Sir God Realm wild beasts, there were also Sir God Realm wild beasts. Although there were very few Sir God Realm wild beasts, there were still some. If one was unlucky, one would encounter one. Then, they could only comfort themselves that Emperor Jenny was injured because he had encountered a Sir God Realm wild beast. They were unwilling to believe that he was injured by Lu Ming. Emperor Jenny was a person with great luck. He had obtained many fortuitous encounters and his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Moreover, the Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor had spent a large amount of resources to help Emperor Jenny cultivate. How could Lu Ming improve so quickly? Chapter 3494. Everyone looked at Lu Ming and the others, and different thoughts flashed through their minds. There are a lot fewer people. Many of them have disappeared. Indeed, Lin Ke has also disappeared. It seems that he has died inside. Most likely, he was killed by the Qianni sacred dynasty. It must be. What a pity that a genius of a generation has fallen. Many people sighed. As for Lin Ke's family, their faces were pale. It was simply unacceptable. The Crown Prince's face was also extremely ugly. Lin Ke had pledged allegiance to the Crown Prince. With such talent, he would definitely be a great general under the Crown Prince in the future. Unfortunately, he had died. For the Crown Prince, it was also a huge loss. Who among you has obtained an advancement token? Step forward. All of you, land on the fighting ring below. The Taishu Saint Emperor's voice rang out. Then, one by one, figures stepped forward and landed below. In the middle of the square below, there was a huge fighting ring. One by one, figures landed on the fighting ring. Lu Ming also moved and landed on the fighting ring. The people of the Taishu dynasty were fighting together, and the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were standing together. There were exactly 16 people from the two sides combined. Everyone's eyes fell on the 16 of them. The Taishu dynasty had 7 people, and the Qianni sacred dynasty had 9 people. Many people's hearts trembled. There were a total of 16 people. The Taishu dynasty had 7 people, and the Qianni sacred dynasty had 9 people. The people of the Taishu dynasty had ugly expressions, but the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were overjoyed. Impossible! The one who was the most shocked was the Taishu Saint Emperor. He suddenly stood up and stared at a young man in the air. He roared, "Hao Tianchen, how could you not have obtained an advancement token?" The Taishu Saint Emperor stared at a young man in a purple robe. This young man in a purple robe was called Hao Tianchen. Almost everyone in the Taishu dynasty knew him because he was the leader of the 9 great generals and was known as the top genius of the Taishu dynasty. It was said that his cultivation had reached the Divine Lord realm long ago, and his strength was unfathomable. With his strength, it was very easy for him to obtain an advancement token. Now, why was he eliminated? Not only the Taishu Saint Emperor, but the people of the Taishu dynasty and the Qianni sacred dynasty also looked at Hao Tianchen curiously. Hao Tianchen's face was a little pale, and his aura was a little weak. Clearly, he was injured. Could it be that he had already fought with someone and lost? Your Majesty Saint Sovereign, I apologize. My luck was poor and I ran into an extremely strong Divine Lord Realm Desolate Beast. I was entangled by that desolate beast and was even injured. I was lucky enough to escape, so I didn't have the time to take the advancement token. Hao Tianchen explained helplessly. So that was how it was. Many people were moved. Hao Tianchen did not lose to someone else, but his luck was bad. He encountered an extremely terrifying desolate beast and was injured by it. Ha ha ha, Brother Jing. Looks like your luck is not good. Looks like I'm the winner of this competition. You won't get the soul cultivating flower. Qianni Saint Emperor laughed loudly. Damn it! The Great Void Saint Emperor clenched his fists tightly. His face was extremely gloomy. Hao Tianchen was the key to this competition. As the top sky pride of the Taishu dynasty, he was eliminated in the first round. This had a huge impact on the outcome of the competition. It could be said that without Hao Tianchen, the Taishu dynasty was almost certain to lose. Damn it! Damn it! How could this be? The Great Void Saint Emperor roared in his heart. Hao Tianchen was an unparalleled sky pride that the royal family had secretly nurtured. The Great Void Saint Emperor placed great importance on this competition. He had invested a lot of resources on these sky prides so that they could win this competition and obtain the soul-cultivating flower. As long as he could obtain the soul-cultivating flower, he could live for another half a stellar year. With this time anything was possible. He might even be able to break through and reach the next realm. However, without the soul-cultivating flower, he really could not live for long. He did not have much lifespan left. With Hao Tian-chen eliminated, his hopes were dashed. The Great Void Saint Emperor's face was extremely ugly. Terrifying murderous intent spread in all directions. The heavens and earth were filled with a terrifying pressure. Many people broke out in cold sweat and almost knelt down. The Great Void Saint Emperor's strength was too terrifying. Brother Jing, calm down. At your level, can't you see past life and death? Tianyi Saint Emperor sneered. He was obviously making sarcastic remarks. The higher one's cultivation level and status, the more they could not see past life and death. The Great Void Saint Emperor took a deep breath and slowly calmed down before sitting down. The competition has yet to begin. The outcome is still uncertain. The Great Void Saint Emperor said coldly. Is that so? Tianyi Saint Emperor was full of smiles. No one noticed that the Crown Prince, who was by the side, had a smug smile on his face. All of this was naturally his handiwork. No one knew that Hao Tian-chen had already submitted to the Crown Prince. Hao Tian-chen's elimination this time was also arranged by the Crown Prince. He was the one who deliberately allowed Hao Tian-chen to be eliminated. Encountering a powerful desolate beast was naturally an excuse. He did not want the Taishu dynasty to win. If the Taishu dynasty won, wouldn't the Great Void Saint Emperor live for another half a stellar year? He could not wait any longer. In fact, even if Di Jianyi could kill Lu Ming this time, Di Jianyi would not take an advancement token because Di Jianyi was too powerful. Everything was within the Crown Prince's expectations. The only one he did not expect was Lu Ming. It was a pity that Lu Ming was not killed by Di Jianyi. However, Lu Ming actually obtained an advancement token. That's good. Who knows? He might be killed by the people from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty during the competition. The Crown Prince smiled in his heart. The Imperial Advisor obviously thought of this as well and revealed a look of anticipation. Haha, Hao Tian-chen, you were actually eliminated in advance. What a pity. Originally, we wanted to determine the outcome of this competition. I did not expect you to be defeated in advance. With your defeat, the outcome of this competition has already been decided. On the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty's side, a youth laughed. This person had silver skin and was from a special tribe. Moreover, he was the top supreme talent of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. The Tianyi Sacred Dynasty and the Taishu Dynasty were close to each other. They competed and reconciled at times. The top supreme talents of both sides naturally knew each other. Hao Tian-chen and the top supreme talent of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty had fought before. The two of them had fought a total of 3 times and were evenly matched. This time, Hao Tian-chen was eliminated in advance. Was there anyone in the Taishu dynasty who could be a match for him? Humph. Hao Tian-chen's fake will snorted coldly and retreated to the side without saying a word. All right, the candidates are out. Next, let's proceed to the second round. Meanwhile, Emperor Tianyi said, the rules of the second round are very simple. It's a 2-on-2 battle. Both sides will send out 1 person each. The victorious side can choose to rest temporarily or continue fighting. Just like that, the battles will continue until one side is completely defeated. Chapter 3495. This rule had been discussed by the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty and the Taishu Dynasty a long time ago. The Taishu Dynasty naturally had no objection to it. Now let's begin, Tianyi Sacred Emperor announced. Suddenly, the two sides sized each other up in the fighting ring. There are 7 of them, but one of them is an unfamiliar face. A genius from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty said and looked at Lu Ming. There is indeed an unfamiliar face. The other 6 are 6 of the 9 great generals of the Taishu Dynasty. I have never seen that unfamiliar face before. He must be lucky to have gotten the promotion token. There is nothing to worry about. Several geniuses from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty started to discuss. Qigaoui, you go first. Challenge that unknown boy. At this time, one of the 9 geniuses from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty looked at a skinny young man. Why do you want me to challenge that boy? The skinny young man was a little reluctant. That boy probably got the promotion token by luck. I don't think he is very strong. You are the weakest among the 9 of us. Who else should I challenge? Can you deal with the others? Another young man sneered. The skinny young man was furious. This was a blatant belittling of him, looking down on him, telling him to deal with the weakest one. The meaning was clear. He couldn't deal with the others. Although the skinny young man was angry, there was nothing he could do. This was the truth. Letting him deal with Lu Ming was indeed the best choice. He stepped out and came to the middle of the fighting ring. His eyes fell on Lu Ming and he said, "Boy, come out and fight. You are the first to challenge me?" Lu Ming touched his nose helplessly. It seemed that he had been underestimated. He stepped out and stood opposite his opponent. He said, "Come on, use your full strength. I will give you a chance to make a move." Haha, this boy is so arrogant. He is indeed arrogant. He has not even entered the 9 great generals, but he is so arrogant. How ridiculous. Lu Ming's words made the geniuses from the Qianni sacred dynasty laugh. The skinny young man from the Qianni sacred dynasty also smiled coldly and said, "Boy, this competition does not involve life and death. I wanted to spare your life, but now I have changed my mind." Boom. As his voice fell, a shocking aura erupted from the skinny youth's body. Dazzling divine light surrounded him. The 9th level of the God King realm and the quintessence God force had awakened for the 3rd time. Of course, the quintessence secret technique had also been awakened. However, such strength was not much better than Lin Kei's. Lu Ming curled his lips casually. Of course, in the eyes of the skinny youth, this expression was ridicule and contempt. "Die, brat!" The shriveled youth roared, erupting with his full strength. He combined it with his source secret technique to unleash his most powerful move. He seemed to have turned into a scorching sun as he charged at Lu Ming with astonishing speed. However, Lu Ming was faster. The Wind Destroyer boots appeared and merged with his feet. Lu Ming's figure flashed slightly and he dodged the attack of the skinny young man. He appeared behind the skinny young man and his leg was like a steel whip, lashing out at the skinny young man. The wind-extinguishing boots not only increased speed, but also had a terrifying destructive power. The word extinguish could explain everything. Boom! There was a loud bang. Lu Ming kicked the skinny young man. The skinny young man screamed miserably. His body almost bent into the shape of a bow. Fresh blood spurted from his mouth and his body flew out like a cannonball. With a swoosh, he flew out of the fighting ring and hit the ground. He was half dead. Of course, this was already because Lu Ming had shown mercy. Otherwise, the skinny youth would have been dead. The scene was silent. This scene was beyond everyone's expectation. They had not expected that Lu Ming would defeat the skinny youth in one move. The people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were especially stunned. Although the skinny youth was the weakest among the 9 people of the Qianni sacred dynasty, he was still a top genius. They had not expected that he would be defeated in one move. Xueqi underestimated his opponent too much. A youth from the Qianni sacred dynasty shook his head. That's right. The guy from the Taishu dynasty is obviously good at speed. He went behind Xueqi with his speed and that guy did not even notice it. He is really useless. If it were me, there would be at least 3 ways to break that guy's move. Several young people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were discussing. Great. The people of the Taishu dynasty cheered loudly. Previously, they had fewer people than the other side. Moreover, the top genius of the 9 general stars had not advanced. This made them feel extremely pressured. But now, Lu Ming had won a battle. They felt a lot better. Humph, he just defeated the weakest one. What's there to be happy about? Someone from the Qianni sacred dynasty said unhappily. Do you want to continue the challenge or take a break? At this time, a white-haired old man asked Lu Ming. This white-haired old man was chosen by the 2 sides to be the referee. Take a break, Lu Ming said. He would not continue to compete. He would let the others compete first. This way, he could also consume the strength of the geniuses of the Qianni sacred dynasty. Moreover, he could also see the combat strength of the geniuses of the Qianni sacred dynasty. His goal was to win in the end. However, if he could win in an easier way, why would he not do it? After Lu Ming finished speaking, he moved his body and retreated to the edge of the fighting ring. According to the rules, The loser will initiate the challenge. The Tiani Sacred Dynasty has lost this round. Next, the geniuses of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty will continue to challenge. The white-haired referee announced. The loser would have the opportunity to initiate the challenge in the next round. This would be fairer. Who will fight in the next round? Everyone is fine. Anyway, we have studied the combat strength of the 9 general stars of the Taishu Dynasty, the secret arts of origin, and the techniques they are good at. We just have to choose the ones who are easy to deal with. Several geniuses of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty were discussing. Let me do it. At this time, a young man from the Tiani Sacred Dynasty spoke. As soon as this person spoke, everyone in the Tiani Sacred Dynasty fell silent and looked at this person in a daze. Xueqi Tian is going to fight? The people of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty were shocked. They found it unbelievable. They had never expected Xueqi Tian to fight so soon. The main reason was that Xueqi Tian was the top genius of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty, the top genius of the younger generation. According to the plan, wasn't Xueqi Tian supposed to stay until the end? Yes, the top genius of the 9 general stars of the Taishu Dynasty did not advance. In this way, Xueqi Tian has no opponent at all. He can defeat the people of the Taishu Dynasty. In this way, won't we win directly? That's right. Xueqi Tian probably thinks so. It seems that we won't have a chance to fight. Several geniuses of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty sighed. They wanted to perform well, but if Xueqi Tian fought, they would have nothing to do. Chapter 3496. Swoosh. Xueqi Tian stepped out, and the remaining prodigies of the Taishu Dynasty turned pale. They naturally knew who Xueqi Tian was. Xueqi Tian's gaze swept across the crowd, and finally landed on a youth in black robes. Zhu Dao, let's fight. He's challenging Zhu Dao first. Many people were shocked. Among the 9 general stars of the Taishu Dynasty, there were a total of 2 who had reached the Divine Lord realm. Zhu Dao was ranked second among the 9 general stars, and was naturally another prodigy who had reached the Divine Lord realm. It was obvious that Xueqi Tian wanted to defeat Zhu Dao directly. Once Zhu Dao was defeated, the Taishu Dynasty's defeat was set. Zhu Dao, you must win this battle. The Taishu Saint Emperor's voice rang out. Now, they could only rely on Zhu Dao. As long as Zhu Dao defeated Xueqi Tian, the Taishu Dynasty would have a chance of winning. The Taishu Saint Emperor's words made Zhu Dao's face turn solemn. He nodded solemnly and said, Saint Emperor, don't worry. Zhu Dao will fight to the death. He did not say that he would definitely win, but he said that he would fight to the death because he was not confident at all. It was not that he had not fought with Xueqi Tian before, but it had always ended in failure. Zhu Dao stepped out and faced Xueqi Tian. Zhu Dao, I advise you to admit defeat. If you really want to fight, the result has already been decided. Xueqi Tian said confidently. Not necessarily. You and I are both first-level divine lords. You can defeat me once, but you might not be able to defeat me twice. Make your move. This time I will win. Zhu Dao's voice was powerful. As soon as he said that, Zhu Dao's body was covered by a thick, pitch-black divine power. Following that, a huge spider appeared. It was a pitch-black spider that was as black as steel and emitted a metallic luster. This was Zhu Dao's origin source secret technique. In fact, Zhu Dao's original body was a spider, and his origin source secret technique was also a spider. Following that, the pitch-black spider charged into Zhu Dao's body, and a layer of pitch-black armor immediately appeared on Zhu Dao's body. The pitch-black armor wrapped around Zhu Dao's entire body tightly, leaving no openings at all. Moreover, 8 huge spider legs extended from his back like 8 javelins. Kill! Zhu Dao coldly snorted as he charged towards Xueqi Tian. His 8 legs transformed into 8 spear lights as they pierced towards Xueqi Tian. The moment Zhu Dao attacked, he used his full strength. He and Xueqi Tian knew each other very well, and there was no need for him to probe. He directly used his full strength to fight. Against Zhu Dao, Xueqi Tian didn't dare to be careless. Bolts of lightning radiated from his body. A battle sword flashing with lightning appeared in his hand. This wasn't a secret technique, but a divine weapon. The source secret technique was above his head. It was a bead, and within the bead, terrifying lightning exploded, making sizzling sounds. The lightning of the round bead was one with Xueqi. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the lightning sword in Xueqingtian's hand continued to slash out. In an instant, he had slashed out over 100 times. Streaks of lightning sword light collided with Zhu Dao's black spear light, causing a loud explosion. The two of them fought fiercely. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. To be honest, the two of them were truly powerful. Their strength was astonishing, and they possessed the power to destroy the heavens and earth. They were first-level god monarchs, but they weren't ordinary first-level god monarchs. They were top-notch geniuses. Without a doubt, their source divine power factor had already undergone 4 awakenings. At the same time, they had mastered all sorts of terrifying secret techniques. They had also cultivated physique secret techniques, source secret techniques, and so on. Their fighting strength was astonishing, and they would probably be able to wrestle with ordinary second-level god monarchs, although they might not be able to contend against them. In the god monarch realm, it was extremely difficult to cross one level to fight against an enemy. For example, Zhu Dao and Xueqi. They were both exceptional geniuses. However, those who could enter the god monarch realm were all geniuses. Their source divine power factor had undergone at least 3 awakenings. As for Zhu Dao and Xueqi, they had only undergone 4 awakenings. With one more awakening, even if they added on some other techniques, it would still be difficult for them to fight across levels in the god monarch realm. At most, they would be able to wrestle and contend, but it would be almost impossible for them to defeat their opponent. Such strength! In a battle of the same level, they are much weaker than Di Jenny. Lu Ming muttered. In his heart, he already had an idea. Zhu Dao and Xueqi fought intensely. To be honest, the difference in strength between the two of them wasn't that big. After exchanging more than 200 moves, Xueqi slowly gained the upper hand. His entire body was covered with lightning. Every move that he made was filled with lightning, which then transformed into lightning swords that attacked Zhu Dao. In the end, the lightning bead was held in Xueqingtian's hand. It transformed into a lightning enchantment that enveloped Zhu Dao. Countless bolts of lightning continuously struck Zhu Dao. Zhu Dao roared and waved his 8 spider legs, attacking Xueqingtian continuously. However, he was repelled by the lightning every time. Kacha! The pitch-black armor on Zhu Dao's body cracked open and fresh blood continuously seeped out. Pung pung. As time passed, the armor on Zhu Dao's body continued to explode. In the end, Zhu Dao let out a blood-curdling scream and retreated frantically. Kill! Xueqingtian roared and grabbed the opportunity to transform into a lightning sword, slashing towards Zhu Dao. Zhu Dao did his best to block, but he was still struck. His body flew out horizontally, landing heavily below the battle platform. His body was in tatters, almost completely exploding. He was severely injured and almost died. Zhu Dao defeated. At this moment, the Taishu Sacred Emperor's face was ashen and extremely gloomy. Zhu Dao had been defeated. In this way, the Taishu dynasty no longer had a divine lord supreme talent. The remaining ones were all divine kings. On the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty's side, other than Xueqingtian, there was another supreme talent who was also a divine lord. The difference was too big. It was obvious at a glance. The result was already out. The Taishu Sacred Emperor was furious. Was the soul-cultivating flower going to be gone just like that? He couldn't accept it. Without the soul-cultivating flower, he didn't have much time left and it would be difficult for him to defy the heavens. At the side, the Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor revealed a smile. This result was exactly what they wanted. Ha ha ha, Brother Jing, it seems like you've lost. You won't be able to take the soul-cultivating flower. The Tianyi Sacred Emperor laughed. Kacha! The jade cup in the Taishu Sacred Emperor's hand was crushed by him. At the scene, many people from the Taishu dynasty shook their heads and sighed. The number 1 of the 9 general stars did not advance. This had a great impact on the Taishu dynasty's side. Originally, that supreme talent could have fought with Xueqingtian and Zhu Dao could have dealt with the other divine lord supreme talent of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. In this way, the outcome of the battle was unknown. However, the number 1 of the 9 general stars did not advance. This directly changed the situation of the battle. It directly caused the Taishu dynasty's side to suffer a one-sided defeat. At this moment, everyone had forgotten about Lu Ming's previous victory. Chapter 3497. Lu Ming's victory did not affect the overall situation at all. Xueqi has won this battle. Xueqi, will you continue to challenge or take a break? The white-haired judge asked. I'll continue. Come out. Xueqi casually pointed at a young man. According to the rules, the loser should be the one to challenge the winner, but that was only if the winner did not continue to challenge the winner. If the winner continued to challenge the loser, he would still have the right to challenge the loser. The young man's face turned pale. Although he was one of the top few among the 9 general stars, he had yet to enter the Divine Lord realm. His combat power was much weaker than Zhu Dao's, and he was not on the same level as Xueqi. If you don't dare to fight, then admit defeat, Xueqi said coldly. Fight. Finally, the young man shouted and stepped forward, revealing a strong fighting spirit. Now, in front of everyone and the Taishu Sage Emperor, if he admitted defeat, his future would be over. Therefore, he could not admit defeat. Moreover, he guessed that Xueqi must have been exhausted in the battle with Zhu Dao. He might still have a chance. You have some guts, but unfortunately, your fate is sealed. Thunderous Annihilation Sword. Xueqi shouted, and the bead emitted more lightning. Xueqi transformed into a giant lightning sword and slashed at the prodigy from the Taishu dynasty. Sky Tiger splits the sky. The prodigy from the Taishu dynasty used all his strength to transform into a sky tiger. His tiger claws split the sky as he attacked Xueqi. Boom! The two sides collided heavily, and energy waves spread in all directions. Lightning filled the sky. However, in the next moment, a scream was heard. Then, a figure flew out of the fighting stage like a shooting star and crashed to the ground. This figure was not Xueqi, but the prodigy from the Taishu dynasty. His body was charred black, and after crashing to the ground, he twitched a few times and stopped breathing. He was dead. A peerless genius had been killed in an instant. Damn it! The people from the Taishu sacred dynasty were enraged, especially the family members of that prodigy. They were furious. You overestimated yourself. This is your fate if you don't admit defeat. Xueqi sneered. You're too ruthless. Someone from the Taishu dynasty roared. Life and death are not guaranteed in this competition. If you are killed, you can only be considered weak. If you are afraid of death, you can just admit defeat. Tianyi Saint Emperor smiled faintly. He was in a very good mood. He was definitely going to win this competition. Moreover, he would be able to suppress the Taishu dynasty and obtain a treasure that was not inferior to the soul-nurturing flower from the Taishu Saint Emperor. Xueqi, do you want to continue the challenge or take a break? The white-haired referee asked again. Continue fighting. Xueqi said, then glanced at Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming's group originally had 7 people. Now that one was dead and one was injured, there were only 5 left. Other than Lu Ming, the other 4 turned pale when Xueqing's gaze swept past them. Xueqing's gaze swept past Lu Ming, directly ignoring him. In his opinion, he did not know Lu Ming at all. Although he won the previous round, it was also because of luck, the element of surprise, and Qi Gaoi's carelessness. He did not take Lu Ming seriously. In the end, his gaze fell on one of the 9 general stars and said, "Come out and fight me." The general who had been challenged paled. The scene of that prodigy being killed was still flashing in front of his eyes. Do you accept the challenge or admit defeat? Xueqi said with a playful smile. I admit defeat. In the end, that prodigy from the Taishu dynasty shook his head and chose to admit defeat. Even if the Saint Emperor saw it clearly, even if the others saw it clearly, he did not care and chose to admit defeat. It was better to be looked down upon than to be killed directly. He knew very well that with his strength, there was a 90% chance that he would be killed if he fought with Xueqi. How could he continue fighting? Of course, he would admit defeat directly. Ha ha ha! Tianyi Saint Emperor laughed loudly, while the Taishu Saint Emperor's face turned even uglier. Today, not only did he not get the soul-nourishing flower, but he also lost all his face. In this way, there were only 4 people left from the Taishu dynasty. Next you. Come out and fight me. Xueqi continued to challenge and pointed at a young man. That young man shook his head and chose to admit defeat. There was no need to continue fighting. He was definitely no match for Xueqi. He would only be courting death if he went up. In this way, there were only 3 people left. Xueqi continued to challenge, and the next person also admitted defeat. In this way, there were only Lu Ming and a young man in a white robe left. Xueqi, are you still going to challenge? The white-haired judge asked. No, it's boring. All of you are cowards. I'll leave 2 of you for the others to play with. Xueqi shook his head and did not continue to challenge. Instead, he retreated. In his opinion, there was no point. If he continued to challenge, all of them would definitely surrender again. It was too boring. He might as well leave 2 of them for the others to play with. Alright, next, it's the Taishu dynasty's turn to challenge. The white-haired judge announced. Lu Ming had been challenged before, so it was naturally another young man in a white robe's turn. The young man in a white robe stepped out and came to the middle of the fighting ring. He was really relieved. If Xueqi continued to challenge him, he could only admit defeat. He did not expect that Xueqi would not continue to challenge him. In this way, he had a chance to show off. No matter what, he had to perform well in the next battle. Feng Qi, come down and fight. The young man in a white robe looked at a young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty. You dare to challenge me? Very well, we have fought once before and there was no clear winner. This time, I will definitely defeat you. The young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty called Feng Qi said coldly. He stepped out and landed in the middle of the fighting ring. Boom, boom. Without any superfluous words, the 2 of them started to fight fiercely. The battle was intense. Their strength was similar. They were both in the peak divine king realm with origin divine power factor and 4 awakenings. Needless to say, they were both peerless geniuses and their combat strength was similar. In this battle, the 2 of them exchanged more than 500 blows. It was extremely tragic. In the end, both of them were injured. They were covered in blood and their clothes were tattered. In the end, both of them fell down at the same time. The 2 of them fought until they were exhausted. In this battle, both of them were injured and they were evenly matched. In this way, Lu Ming was the only one left in the Taishu dynasty. Sigh, he is bound to lose. Let's end this quickly. Many people from the Taishu dynasty sighed. Previously, it was the Taishu dynasty's turn to challenge. In the previous battle, both of them were injured. Naturally, it was the Tianyi sacred dynasty's turn to challenge. Leave this brat to me. I want to see if he's faster than me. A genius from the Tianyi sacred dynasty spoke and then flashed out. Rather than continuing to fail, it would be better to end this quickly and end this torture. According to the rules, it's the Tianyi sacred dynasty's turn to challenge. The white-robed judge said. Chapter 3498. Lu Ming stepped out and came to the middle of the fighting ring. Boy, your speed is not bad. But compared to me, you are still a little slower. You will be defeated. The genius from the Tianyi sacred dynasty sneered. He was from the Wingmen clan and had a pair of green wings on his back. As soon as he finished speaking, he flapped his wings and turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing toward Lu Ming. In the process of rushing out, his body swayed and turned into multiple phantoms, surrounding Lu Ming. There were a total of 32 phantoms, and it was hard to tell which one was the real one. Ha 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 boy, have you seen my speed? Now you know the gap between us. With your speed, you can't even touch a hair on my head. Ha ha. The youth from the Wingmen clan laughed arrogantly. Who said that I want to compete with you in speed? Lu Ming said lightly. He clenched his fist and the overbearing god spear appeared in his hand. Is this the secret skill of origin? How is that possible? Many people's eyes widened, especially those from the Tianyi sacred dynasty. Origin source secret techniques naturally wouldn't shock these people. However, it was shocking for a person to possess 2 origin source secret techniques. Lu Ming had clearly displayed the Wind Destroyer boots in the previous battle. Now, he had displayed the overbearing god spear. It was obvious that he had 2 secret skills of origin. Could it be that Lu Ming had cultivated the ancient cultivation method? Just as many people had this thought, Lu Ming made his move. Lu Ming swept out directly. The huge spear radiance filled the fighting ring and enveloped the entire fighting ring. Yua! The youth from the Wingmen clan suddenly shouted in shock. Isn't Lu Ming good at speed? Why isn't he playing according to common sense? He wanted to resist, but it was too late. The huge spear radiance swept across and the phantoms exploded. No matter how many phantoms there were, No matter how fast they were, Lu Ming had already enveloped the entire fighting ring under his attack. Bang bang bung, a series of explosions resounded as the 36 phantoms exploded in an instant. The young man from the winged men race screamed as he was blown away by the spear. He was like a cannonball as he was blown out of the fighting stage and smashed into the ground. He was half dead. The youth of the winged men clan was defeated in one move. He won again? This time, even the people of the Taishu dynasty were stunned. In this competition, the Taishu dynasty had only won 2 matches, and both of them had been won by Lu Ming. This was simply unbelievable. The people of the Qianni sacred dynasty were also stunned. This kid is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. His true strength is very strong. Finally, one of the geniuses from the Qianni sacred dynasty spoke up. His expression was grave. To be able to easily defeat 2 prodigies in a row, even a fool would know that Lu Ming's strength was not weak, but very strong. Below the fighting ring, the crown prince and the state preceptor looked gloomy. Seeing that Lu Ming was in the limelight, they were very unhappy. It doesn't matter. If this kid continues to challenge, he will be courting death when he meets the divine emperors of the other side. Maybe he will be killed by them. The state preceptor secretly transmitted his voice to the crown prince. That's right. It may be a good thing that this kid can win a few matches. The crown prince also nodded secretly. They were still hoping that Lu Ming would meet the divine emperors of the Qianni sacred dynasty. In that case, they might not need to do anything and Lu Ming would be killed. Lu Ming, who are you going to challenge next? The white-robed judge asked. Now, only Lu Ming was left. Lu Ming had won, so he could only continue to challenge him. Lu Ming pointed at a young man from the other side, who was not in the divine emperor realm. If he wanted to win, he had to defeat everyone on the other side. Therefore, he was not in a hurry to challenge them one by one. It was the same to leave the divine emperors behind. The young man who was challenged by Lu Ming stepped out of the crowd and came in front of Lu Ming. However, the young man did not dare to be careless now. He stared at Lu Ming with a solemn face. Kill. Suddenly, the young man attacked. He attacked with all his strength. The origin source secret technique, with the support of strong divine power, was extremely powerful. It attacked Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming simply waved his spear. At that moment, Lu Ming had already activated the battle character art to quadruple his combat strength. In addition to his 11 types of divine power, it was extremely powerful. He could easily crush those of the same level. Not everyone was like Di Jenny. Although these prodigies were strong, they were 100 streets away from Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. Boom! The overbearing god's spear rolled over, and the genius of the Qianni sacred dynasty screamed. His attack and defense were all destroyed. He felt as if he had been hit by a mountain, and he was almost flattened. His whole body flew out of the fighting ring, and he vomited blood. He was half dead. Instant kill. Another instant kill. The scene fell into silence. Everyone stared at Lu Ming. Their eyes were shining. Another instant kill. Occasionally, they could say it was luck. But now it had happened 3 times. This was not luck. It was strength. Overwhelming strength. One should know that Lu Ming's opponents were not weak. The top prodigies of the Qianni sacred dynasty were like the 9 generals in the Taishu dynasty. Such people were killed in an instant. How strong was Lu Ming? Qianni sacred emperor and the remaining prodigies of the Qianni sacred dynasty looked solemn. Great! Taishu sacred emperor could not help but shout. His eyes, which were full of despair, were filled with hope again. With Lu Ming's combat strength, he might be able to create a miracle. The crown prince and the state preceptor looked gloomy. The 2 of them looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Could it be that Di Jenny was really defeated by Lu Ming? Di Jenny, come here. The crown prince sent a voice transmission to Di Jenny. In a flash, Di Jenny appeared behind the crown prince. Di Jenny, what's going on? Why is Lu Ming not dead? Could it be that you did not touch him? The crown prince sent a voice transmission to Di Jenny. Crown prince, state preceptor. We have underestimated Lu Ming. Di Jenny replied. What do you mean? The crown prince and the state preceptor were shocked. I have lost. Di Jenny only said these 3 words and did not say anything else. What? The state preceptor and the crown prince were shocked. They were all too clear about how talented and sick Di Jenny was. Jingyu was known as the most outstanding prodigy in the history of the Taishu dynasty. However, compared to Di Jiani, there was still a gap. Yes, in their hearts, Jingyu could not be compared to Di Jiani. However, right now, Emperor Jiani had been defeated by Lu Ming. What did this mean? Lu Ming's talent was #1 in the history of the Taishu dynasty. Damn it! D***it. The crown prince roared in his heart. Di Jiani's strength was extremely terrifying. Even the person who was ranked #1 among the 9 general stars might not be a match for Di Jiani. Did that mean that Lu Ming could defeat Xueqi? Defeat everyone in the Qiani sacred dynasty and help Taishu sacred emperor get the soul-nourishing flower? Chapter 3499. No. The crown prince roared in his heart. His eyes were red. He could not accept this. If the Taishu sacred emperor obtained the soul-nourishing flower and increased his lifespan by half a stellar year, he would have to wait for another half a stellar year. He had waited for countless years. He could not wait any longer. If the Taishu sacred emperor made a breakthrough in the future, he would never be able to sit on the throne of the sacred emperor. In his heart, he wanted to kill Lu Ming. He could not wait to cut Lu Ming into pieces. What's wrong? The Taishu sacred emperor felt that something was wrong with the crown prince and glanced at him coldly. No, nothing. Father, I'm just excited to see how powerful Lu Ming is. The crown prince's face changed and he quickly answered. Is that so? The great void saint emperor said plainly. You do have some skills. Unfortunately, your cultivation is only in the 9th divine king realm. You're still lacking in terms of cultivation. It's hard for you to fight against a divine lord realm genius. The Qiani sacred emperor's eyes flickered a few times before he sneered. To be honest, he was shocked by Lu Ming's strength. A wisp of killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Such a powerful genius would be terrifying when he grew up. He might even be an invincible figure at the peak of the divine lord realm. The stronger the Taishu dynasty was, the worse it would be for the Qiani sacred dynasty. Is that so? Then let's continue to watch. The Taishu dynasty's leader said. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Lu Ming, who are you going to challenge next? The white-haired judge asked. Lu Ming swept his gaze over them. Originally, the Qiani sacred dynasty had a total of 9 geniuses. Previously, because both sides were injured, one of them was eliminated. Now, 3 of them were defeated by Lu Ming. There were only 5 left. Among them, there were 2 divine lord realm geniuses. Lu Ming intended to deal with these 2 later. He would deal with the 3 divine kings first. Anyway, he had to deal with them. You! Lu Ming pointed at the genius. The genius's face turned pale. Previously, there was a genius whose strength was not inferior to his, but he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. If he went up, he would probably be killed in an instant. Let's go all out and exhaust every bit of his divine power. A voice suddenly rang out in the young man's ears. It was Saint Lord Tiany's voice. The young man's expression changed. He originally wanted to surrender, but now he couldn't. Clearly, Tiany Saint Emperor did not allow for failure. He wanted to use them to exhaust Lu Ming's divine power to ensure that Qiu Qingtian and the others would definitely win. Fight! The young man gritted his teeth and stepped forward, landing in front of Lu Ming. Then, he unleashed all of his power and used all of his techniques. In the eyes of the other young people present, this young man was very strong. He was so strong that it was terrifying. But in Lu Ming's eyes, it was very weak. Boom! The tyrant god's spear blasted out, breaking all techniques with one strike. No matter what kind of technique or secret technique it would be crushed by the spear. Then with a scream, the young man was sent flying. It was still an instant kill. Then he continued to challenge, and it was still an instant kill. Soon, Lu Ming won 3 rounds in a row. In this way, a total of 6 geniuses of the Tiany sacred dynasty were defeated by Lu Ming. There were only 2 geniuses of the Tiany sacred dynasty left on the scene. These 2 people were both in the divine lord realm. One of them was Qiu Qingtian, and the other was the second-ranked genius of the Tiany sacred dynasty's younger generation called Yun Ji. It's finally the last 2 people. The last 2 people are both in the divine lord realm. Is Lu Ming a match for them? It's hard to say. A divine lord is much stronger than a divine king. Moreover, those 2 people are both peerless geniuses. That's right. They are both peerless geniuses. A Divine Lord Realm Genius can easily kill a Divine King Realm Genius. Lu Ming may not be a match for them. At the scene, many people were discussing. Indeed, they were all peerless geniuses. Whether it was Qiu Qingtian or Yunji, they could easily kill those people that Lu Ming had just defeated. Therefore, without fighting, it was difficult to guess who was stronger and who was weaker. The Taishu Sacred Emperor also became nervous. Of course, the Crown Prince was also extremely nervous. One was afraid of losing, and the other was afraid of winning. Lu Ming, who are you going to challenge next? The white-haired judge asked. No need to trouble yourself. Let the two of them come at me together. Lu Ming said. What? As soon as these words came out, the scene fell into silence. Lu Ming actually wanted to challenge Qiu Qingtian and Yunji at the same time. Was he crazy? Or was he too arrogant? Lu Ming, what are you doing? The Taishu Sacred Emperor suddenly stood up and roared. This battle was related to the soul-nurturing flower and his lifespan. It was not a child's play, and absolutely no mistakes were allowed. Brother Jing, why are you so agitated? How they challenge is the young people's business. We just have to watch. The young people are confident, so we can't suppress them. The Tiani Sacred Emperor's voice sounded, and then he said, You are free to challenge them. If you want to challenge both of them at the same time, you can. If Lu Ming wanted to challenge both of them at the same time, he would be more than happy. Lu Ming, you have to think carefully. The Taishu Sacred Emperor said coldly. Sacred Emperor, don't worry. There is no difference between two of them and one of them. I am confident, Lu Ming said with a smile. He was very clear about Qiu Qingtian's combat strength, and he was really confident. When Lu Ming had just come out of the primordial divine spirit world, he was already able to fight a barbarian tribe's second-layer divine lord to a draw. At that time, Lu Ming's cultivation was only in the 8th-layer divine king realm. As for Qiu Qingtian, even if he used his full strength, he could at most fight a second-layer divine lord, and he would most likely lose. Therefore, even if Lu Ming was in the 8th-layer divine king realm, he would not be afraid of Qiu Qingtian, let alone now that he had broken through to the 9th-layer divine king realm. Even if Yunji was added, it would be the same. Lu Ming was very confident, but in the eyes of others, it was arrogance. He is too arrogant. Who does he think he is? He is just a divine king. It is already incredible for a divine king to fight a divine lord, and he wants to fight two of them? Moreover, they are two top geniuses. This is absolutely impossible. It is completely impossible. Looks like his previous consecutive victories and instant kills of his opponents have inflated his self-confidence to no end. Hee, it will be fun to embarrass himself later. The people of the Tiani Sacred Dynasty sneered. However, the people of the Taishu Dynasty did not say anything. Many people of the Taishu Dynasty knew Lu Ming well. Lu Ming was a new batch of students of the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Academy. How many years had it been? Lu Ming's cultivation had already reached the peak divine king realm. This in itself was incredible. Therefore, even if Lu Ming could defeat Qiu Qingtian and Yunji, they would not think that it was impossible. Alright, since you are confident, it is up to you. I only have one condition, and that is to win. You must win. The Taishu Sacred Emperor said coldly. Yes. Lu Ming nodded and looked at Qiu Qingtian and Yunji. Chapter 3500. Qiu Qingtian and Yunji looked gloomy. Lu Ming dared to challenge the two of them alone. In their eyes, he was looking down on them. Since he wants to challenge us alone, let's fulfill his wish. Let him stay here forever. Yunji's eyes were cold and his voice was icy. That's exactly what I wanted. A divine king is too arrogant. Qiu Qingtian said coldly. Boom, boom. Their auras burst out at the same time. The auras of first-level divine lords formed a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. Then the two of them attacked at the same time. Qiu Qingtian's body was covered with lightning and formed a lightning sword that slashed at Lu Ming. Yunji pointed his finger and a golden finger that was covered with runes suddenly appeared. It was glowing brightly and it was pointed at Lu Ming. It was a terrifying secret technique. Their attacks instantly closed in on Lu Ming. The two of them were first-level divine lords. Even if they did not use their full strength, they could easily kill an ordinary first-level divine lord. As for those below the divine lord level, It was needless to say. Boom! At that moment, Lu Ming's body shook slightly again and his aura became stronger. Battle Character Art, 5 times Combat Strength, activated. Then the Overlord God Spear shook and 2 spear radiances shot out, colliding with Xueqi and Yunji's attacks. 2 loud bangs erupted and the entire fighting ring was shaking. Of course, the battle stage was covered with runes, so the chi from their battle would be blocked and unable to disperse. After the 2 bangs, the attacks from both sides dissipated at the same time. He blocked it. Many people's hearts were beating wildly. Lu Ming had really blocked Xueqi and Yunji's attacks. This was unbelievable. The people from the Taishu dynasty were overjoyed. However, the people from the Qianni sacred dynasty looked gloomy. Humph. Didn't you see that Xueqi and Yunji did not use their full strength? They did not use their origin source secret techniques and Lu Ming has already used his origin source secret technique. He has already used his full strength. It's obvious who is stronger. That's right. As long as Xueqi and Yunji use their full strength, Lu Ming will definitely lose. The people of the Qianni sacred dynasty spoke one after another. Under normal circumstances, using an origin source secret technique was equivalent to using one's full strength. Even Xueqi and Yunji thought so. You're Lu Ming, right? Is this all you've got? You dare to challenge the 2 of us? I alone can suppress you. That's right, I've only used 80% of my strength, and I haven't even used my primary secret technique yet. It's time to send you on your way. Xueqi and Yunji coldly laughed. Their auras grew even stronger. After that, they both used their source secret arts, pushing their combat prowess to the peak. Yunji's origin secret technique was a strange bronze finger that emitted an ancient and desolate aura. This bronze finger fused with Yunji's finger, causing his finger to emit a resplendent radiance. Kill! Yunji shouted and pointed his finger at Lu Ming. A huge finger that looked like the finger of a primordial deity pointed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved the Overlord God Spear and blasted it forward. The huge spear radiance collided with the finger. There was a loud boom, and energy overflowed. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he retreated rapidly. He only stopped when he reached the edge of the fighting ring. Lu Ming is about to lose. Many people had the same thought in their minds. Haha, with your strength, you're overestimating yourself. Yunji laughed. Is this your full strength? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly asked. What do you mean? My strength is enough to kill you 10 times over. Yunji sneered. Is that so? If that's all you have, then this battle is over. Lu Ming said indifferently. Then, he placed the Overlord God Spear in front of him. In the next moment, a terrifying aura burst out from the Overlord God Spear. A dazzling spear radiance shot up into the sky and pierced through the clouds. The scene was silent at first, and then there was an uproar. This is... Sever the shackles. His origin secret technique has severed the shackles. Oh my god! At this moment, not only the ordinary people, but many old monsters were also shocked. Their eyes were wide open, and they could not calm down. Even the Taishu Sacred Emperor and the Qianni Sacred Emperor stood up in shock. A 9th-level Divine King Realm Cultivator who could awaken the origin secret technique at such a young age was already a peerless genius. As for severing the shackles, that was even more unimaginable. Now, no matter if it was the Taishu dynasty or the Qianni Sacred Dynasty, none of the strongest geniuses had severed the shackles. So far, Lu Ming was the first. The Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor looked gloomy, but they were not too surprised. After all, Lu Ming had defeated Di Jenny. They knew that Lu Ming must have severed the shackles of the origin secret technique. Yunji and Xueqing's eyes were wide open, and they were filled with disbelief. They also wanted to sever the shackles, but they had failed countless times. But Lu Ming, who was only a 9th-level Divine King Realm Cultivator, had succeeded. This made them envious and jealous. Come on! Lu Ming pointed his spear at Xueqi and Yunji. So what if you have severed the shackles? You are only a 9th-level Divine King Realm Cultivator. How can you fight against us? Kill! Xueqi and Yunji shouted. They moved and charged at Lu Ming like meteorites. Xueqing's bead emitted endless lightning, and it even turned into a lightning enchantment that enveloped Lu Ming. It turned into a lightning sword and charged at Lu Ming. Yunji shouted. His finger glowed and pointed at Lu Ming. An even more terrifying finger pointed at Lu Ming. Wang. Lu Ming waved his overlord god's spear. Instantly, two spear radiances shot out, as if they could shatter the void. Both sides' attacks collided, and the battle stage shook violently. This time, Lu Ming did not retreat. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his spear radiance was like a dragon. Not only did he block Xueqi and Yunji's attacks, he even destroyed their attacks. The two of them retreated a few steps, and their faces were ugly. Damn it! Dang! The two of them roared. They could not accept that they were still not Lu Ming's match even after joining forces. It was obvious that Xueqi and Yunji had cultivated secret physique techniques. Xueqingtian's secret physique technique should be related to lightning. However, their secret physique technique was not very mature. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that it was not even comparable to the fifth transformation of the primordial divine body. Yunji's secret physique technique was similar to Xueqingtian's. Xueqingtian's body was covered with endless lightning, as if his entire body had turned into lightning. His muscles, bones, and blood were all made of lightning. Secret physique technique? Lu Ming muttered. Chapter 35:01. Of course, after using the secret body constitution technique, their strength had also increased. Once again, they charged towards Lu Ming. This time, the two of them were fighting against Lu Ming. For a moment, it was hard to determine the winner. On the huge fighting stage, the three of them were constantly clashing and killing each other. It was extremely intense. In the blink of an eye, the three of them had already exchanged over 100 blows. The scene was silent. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they stared at the fighting stage. The main reason was that they were too shocked. They were shocked by Lu Ming's strength. A 9th-layer divine king could actually fight against two 1st-layer divine monarch peerless geniuses. This was too inconceivable. It was like a fantasy story. Tianyi's sacred emperor's face was extremely gloomy. On the other hand, Taishu's sacred emperor's eyes were filled with anticipation. Previously, he had already given up hope. He thought that the two countries would most likely lose this battle. He had never expected Lu Ming to suddenly appear and display such shocking strength. It was greatly out of his expectations. It seemed like there was hope for him to win. As long as he won, he would be able to obtain the soul-nourishing flower. Thinking of this, he was extremely excited. Ah, damn it. Kill, kill, kill. Xueqingtian and Yunji roared crazily as they fought. Their attacks were like a storm. They could not lose. If the two of them were not a match for a 9th-layer divine king, they would become a laughing stock. They could not accept this fact. The two of them pushed their combat strength to the maximum. However, no matter how they attacked, Lu Ming was still able to block them. All right, it's about time to end this. Lu Ming muttered. Then, he started to control the primordial divine blood in his heart. Of course, this time, Lu Ming did not unleash the full power of the primordial divine blood. He only unleashed a portion of it. Even so, Lu Ming's body was suddenly filled with explosive power, causing his strength to increase tremendously. Bas! The overbearing god's spear shook and turned into a huge spear radiance, sweeping across the battlefield. Boom! Xueqingtian's lightning swords exploded and shattered. Then, as the overbearing god's spear swept across, Xueqingtian's lightning barrier also exploded. Xueqingtian's face changed drastically. He groaned and retreated. Dang! In the next moment, the tyrant god's spear struck Yunji's finger. His finger immediately shattered. Yunji's expression changed drastically. At that moment, he felt that his finger was about to break. His body retreated rapidly. His finger trembled incessantly and blood seeped out. Your power? Xueqingtian and Yunji widened their eyes and stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. The people around them were similar to them. They were also dumbfounded. A very old monster spoke. Ji. Now I'll finish you off. Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward. Like a human-shaped dragon, he rushed forward. The overbearing god's spear smashed down. It turned into layers of spear shadows, covering Xueqingtian and Yunji. Xueqingtian and Yunji shouted and tried their best to resist. However, Lu Ming's power was above theirs. When the two sides collided, their bodies retreated. Their faces were pale and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Lu Ming did not stop attacking. He continued to charge toward them. His attacks were endless. After a dozen moves, Xueqi and Yunji screamed. They were hit by Lu Ming. They vomited blood and flew out of the fighting ring. They fell heavily on the ground. They were seriously injured. Of course, Lu Ming was being merciful. If Lu Ming used all the power of the primordial divine blood, it would not be difficult to kill them. Xueqi and Yunji were defeated. The scene was deathly silent, especially the people of the Qianni sacred dynasty. Their minds were blank. They thought they were dreaming. Xueqi and Yunji were the two strongest heavenly geniuses of the Qianni sacred dynasty. They were invincible. In the Qianni sacred dynasty, they were like two mountains that pressed down on the heads of countless young people. They were the goal of all the young people. They were also the idols of all the young people. However, two of such strong heavenly geniuses had been defeated by a ninth divine king layer cultivator. It was a huge blow to them. Good. After a while, many people reacted. The people of the Taishu dynasty cheered loudly. They were incomparably excited. They had won the battle. Of course they were excited. Ha ha ha, Qianni, you let me win. The Taishu sacred emperor laughed. He was incomparably excited. Damn it, damn it, damn it. On the side of the Taishu dynasty, the crown prince was the angriest. He was shouting madly in his heart. His eyes were incomparably ferocious. He couldn't wait to chop Lu Ming into pieces. Originally, he had planned everything perfectly. This time, the Taishu dynasty couldn't win. But now, because of Lu Ming, the Taishu dynasty had won. All his plans and efforts had gone up in smoke. The Taishu sacred emperor would obtain the soul-nourishing flower and his lifespan would increase by half a stellar year. If he broke through in the future, he would probably be a crown prince until he died of old age. He was indignant. He was extremely indignant. At this moment, his hatred for Lu Ming was overwhelming. The imperial preceptor's face was also incomparably ugly. Of course, the Qianni sacred emperor's face was also ugly. Good, good, good. I didn't expect that such a monster would appear in the Taishu dynasty. I really didn't expect that the Taishu dynasty would have such a great opportunity. In the past, there was Jingyu, and now there is Lu Ming. Hee. The Qianni sacred emperor sneered, looking at Lu Ming with deep fear in his eyes. Lu Ming's talent was too terrifying. In the future, it was very likely that he would take a crucial step, break through the barrier of the Divine Lord realm, and step into a higher level. Once that happened, it would be very fatal for the Qianni sacred dynasty. It would break the balance. In the past, Jingyu was said to have such a hope. Unfortunately, he died. And now, Lu Ming obviously had such a hope. Qianni, you lost. Hand over the soul-nourishing flower. The Taishu sacred emperor shouted, staring at Qianni with great anticipation. Fine, I'll give it to you. Brother Jing, although the soul-nourishing flower can increase your lifespan by half a stellar year, it's impossible for you to break through to the next realm. At most, you can live for another half a stellar year. Qianni sneered. You don't have to worry about this. The Taishu sacred emperor said coldly, his face ugly. His lifespan was his greatest taboo. If the one who said this wasn't the Qianni sacred emperor, he would have slapped him to death. Chapter 3502. Qianni Saint Emperor sneered. With a wave of his hand, a jade box appeared in his hand. When he opened the jade box, one could see a pitch-black flower inside. The flower was pitch black, but it emitted a sparkling luster and a rich fragrance. Many people felt their souls tremble when they smelled this fragrance. It was as though their soul power had become much purer. Is this the soul-nurturing flower? It's indeed a peerless treasure. Many people's eyes lit up. If an ordinary person obtained this soul-nurturing flower and refined it, their soul power would also increase greatly. It was a peerless treasure with immeasurable value. Of course, they were just thinking about it. The soul-nurturing flower was now the treasure of the great Void Saint Emperor. Who would dare to have such thoughts? Quickly cover it. The great Void Saint Emperor hurriedly shouted. If the soul-nurturing flower was exposed outside, its medicinal properties would slowly evaporate. Every time it evaporated, the medicinal effects would decrease by a little. If it evaporated a little, it might reduce his lifespan by a few years. Naturally, he was very concerned about it. Qianni Saint Emperor smiled and closed the lid. Lu Shi, go and get the soul-nurturing flower. The Great Void Saint Emperor waved his hand and asked a close official beside him to get the soul-nurturing flower. As the Great Void Saint Emperor, he naturally couldn't go and get it himself. Yes, Your Majesty. The close official, Lu Shi, was a white-haired old man. He bowed and then flew towards Tianyi Saint Emperor. Tianyi Saint Emperor revealed a pained expression. Then, he waved his hand and the jade box flew towards Lu Shi. Lu Shi took it and flew towards the Great Void Saint Emperor. However, halfway there, he suddenly stopped. Lu Shi, what are you doing? Why aren't you bringing it over? The Great Void Saint Emperor urged. He was already a little impatient. However, Lu Shi didn't move. Instead, he revealed a strange smile and opened the jade box. Lu Shi, what are you doing? The Great Void Saint Emperor roared. Nothing. I just want to destroy the soul-nurturing flower. Lu Shi smiled. Then, his divine power burst out and bombarded the jade box. As the close official of the Great Void Saint Emperor, Lu Shi's strength was also shockingly strong. He had reached the 8th level of the Divine Lord realm. His divine power was so strong that the jade box and soul-nurturing flower in his hand exploded, turning into powder and dissipating in the air. The scene became silent all of a sudden. Everyone was stunned and looked at Lu Shi in a daze. This included the Taishu Saint Emperor, the Tianyi Saint Emperor, and Lu Ming. This scene was completely out of their expectations. Lu Shi had actually destroyed the soul-nourishing flower? The Crown Prince and the State Preceptor were also dumbfounded. This was completely beyond their expectations. Although they wanted to destroy the soul-nourishing flower, they didn't dare to. This was the lifespan of the Taishu Saint Emperor. If it was destroyed, the Taishu Saint Emperor would definitely go crazy. No one could withstand the madness of the Taishu Saint Emperor. Yes, the Taishu Saint Emperor had truly gone mad. At this moment, the Taishu Saint Emperor's body started to tremble violently. His eyes turned red as a terrifying icy aura emanated from his body. All of a sudden, the atmosphere became incomparably oppressive. Lu Shi! A beast-like roar came out of the Taishu Saint Emperor's mouth. It was filled with terrifying killing intent. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Shi did not stop in the slightest. His body shot up into the sky. His speed was frighteningly fast. Those who were not Sir Gods could not see Lu Shi's speed clearly at all. However, the Taishu Saint Emperor was even faster. Originally, the Taishu Saint Emperor looked like an old man in his twilight years. At this moment, he was like an ancient god that had come back to life. A terrifying aura erupted from his body. His body shot out and chased after Lu Shi at a frightening speed. The distance between the two of them was rapidly closing. Lu Shi, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. The Taishu Saint Emperor roared. Violent energy surged out like a torrential storm. Even someone as strong as Lu Shi, an 8th-level Divine Lord, felt a chill run down his spine at this moment. It was as if he would turn into ashes in the next moment. Not good. Lu Shi's expression changed drastically. His body and mind were trembling. It was as if he would be destroyed in the next moment. He understood that the difference between him and the Taishu Saint Emperor was too great. An 8th-level Sir God was definitely a top-notch expert in the Taishu dynasty. Even the heavenly kings of the heavenly kings' palaces did not have such cultivation. However, compared to the Taishu Saint Emperor, the difference was like heaven and earth. The Taishu Saint Emperor was already at the limit of the Sir God realm. He was half a step into the next realm. Boom! The Taishu Saint Emperor's withered hand reached out, and an incomparably huge palm that blotted out the sky grabbed at Lu Shi. This palm covered over 100 million miles. It was too huge. The terrifying energy completely sealed Lu Shi. Lu Shi exploded with his full strength, but it was useless. He had already been sealed by the energy, and it was even difficult for him to breathe. At this moment, he truly understood the difference between him and the Taishu Saint Emperor. He was incomparably terrified. Barbarian Emperor, save me! Boom! As soon as Lu Shi finished speaking, the space above Lu Shi suddenly fluctuated. A huge fist suddenly appeared and slammed into the Great Void Saint Emperor's palm, causing a terrifying explosion. At this moment, the entire Taishu Saint capital seemed to tremble violently. The Taishu Saint capital was an incomparably huge ancient city that was like a planet. At this moment, it was trembling violently, as if it was about to explode. However, in the next moment, countless runes appeared in all directions of the Taishu Saint capital, forming a huge array that dissipated the energy. The Taishu Saint capital had been passed down for countless years, and the array on it was not to be underestimated. Even an existence like the Taishu Saint Emperor would not be able to break it in an instant. The energy surged wildly, and the huge palm that the Taishu Saint Emperor had formed finally collapsed. Lu Shi was overjoyed. Like a shooting star, he instantly shot out tens of millions of miles. In just a few breaths' time, Lu Shi and the Taishu Saint Emperor had already rushed into the starry sky. And in front of Lu Shi, a burly figure appeared. This figure was more than 3 meters tall, and he had a strong physique. His entire body was filled with muscles, and he was filled with explosive power. Just by standing there, he gave off a feeling that he was as heavy as a mountain, and that he was indestructible and could destroy everything. Barbarian Emperor. The Imperial Advisor muttered, and he was shocked. Barbarian Emperor. Everyone at the scene was shocked to the core. The Barbarian Emperor was the emperor of the barbarian race. He was the sovereign of the barbarian race. The Barbarian Emperor and the Taishu Saint Emperor were sworn enemies. Why would the Barbarian Emperor suddenly appear? Could it be that Lu Shi was instructed by the Barbarian Emperor? Judging from the scene just now, it was very likely. Barbarian Emperor. Lu Shi was overjoyed when he saw the Barbarian Emperor. He quickly flew behind the Barbarian Emperor and heaved a long sigh of relief. He felt that his entire body was drenched in cold sweat. Barbarian Emperor. The Taishu Saint Emperor's eyes were bloodshot, and they were filled with violent killing intent. Did you arrange all of this? The Taishu Saint Emperor asked. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.